With war, world, and Atlas Dog, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Dog, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.
All right. What's up, Mad News? I see Mad News is back. What's up, dude? Alt Companion. I like the little jar emoji there. I have to get some customized jars and add them to the members only emojis, right? What's up, Jamie? Been kind of a slow news day for a Monday, to be honest with you.
Right.
Just been kind of scrolling the X's, scrolling the X's, going through all my old girlfriend's phone numbers. No, scrolling X, trying to come up with what's going on today, and not a whole lot. There's one interesting story, another conspiracy theory confirmed that we'll maybe get into regarding the bad guy of World War II. We won't mention his name in the first few minutes, at least. What's up, Steve? Kid Rock was in the Oval Office. I didn't see that one, but big Kid Rock fan. I'm actually going to see him in concert here in about a month. I'm really looking forward to that. Get a little time away with the wife.
Yes, the Kid Rock sporting some kind of like best way I could describe it, looks like a Daredevil jumpsuit. You know, the ones where the guys put themselves in the cannon and get shot out, right? It has like the frills on it. And
doing like some evil Knievel.
Well, they asked Trump, like, would you wear this? And he floated the idea. He was like, well, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Maybe I'll wear that suit tomorrow. As much as it would be cool, it would make him look so old if he tried to wear something like that. It'd be funny, though, at least.
Well, you never know. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? If Trump's gonna float this having a third term and everything, let's just go nuts. Let's go nuts for 3.5 years.
Right, go crazy. Which I have a bit of hesitancies towards the third term, the floating of the third term. But I'm curious if it's more, I think more so the reason we're hearing a lot about the third term is as a distraction to get away from things like Signalgate and such. So it's a way to kind of like dominate the narrative. I'm not too sure he's willing to push the buttons and come back for another 4 years. I think in specifics, he detailed with somebody, I can't remember who he was talking with, that he would be open to the idea of being the VP on Vance's ticket. That would be like his idea of like a third term.
That's crazy. Right. Man, Trump's already, I forget his age, 83?
I think it's 82.
82? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I can't imagine after 4 more years wanting to do this again, right? It just seems like time to retire.
Yeah. Well, he'll be 82 at the end of this term.
Oh, he'll be 82 at the end of this term?
Yeah.
All right, now I need to look this up because I thought he was already like 82 or something like that.
I'm pretty sure he's 78 or 79 right now.
Let me see here. I should know this. I looked up the age of Samuel L. Jackson today, and he's like 76 or something. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay, Trump is 78. For some reason, I've been thinking that he was already in his 80s. All right, well, that's good. So I don't know. Maybe he would want to do it again. As we mentioned before, I don't think I'd actually support another, third term. Maybe I would. We just have to determine at that point. But you're talking about rewriting, the U.S. presidential laws. I don't even know. I got to admit, I don't even know where the 2-term 4-year limit is written. Is it a constitutional thing or is it?
It's an amendment. I believe it came into place after FDR. People were so fed up because FDR served, I believe it's like 3 consecutive terms.
Okay.
And most people, and I myself included, pin FDR as the kind of the forefather of the welfare program. If you remember, he was kind of the president during the Great Depression. And so that began a lot of the government forcing kind of projects to be done. So people had jobs. And so a lot of like very kind of bloated bureaucratic job programs were built under FDR. There's some in particular that I believe are around per se, not like the same kind of programs, but kind of like the descendants of such programs. But people ultimately were so fed up with how the administration ran with FDR that's how you ended up getting that amendment put in place. Because if you remember, people didn't know for years that FDR was actually like in a wheelchair. That was like a very propagated presidency where a lot of things were done similar to like Joe Biden, kind of like orchestrating it from the basement, never really in public purview. And then like now you're entertaining going on a 4th term. It's like, that's insane. I mean, to the American people, they were like getting very, very kind of scared of the idea of what was going on there.
Right. So I see here Mad News Now mentions it's a play to force the Democrats into term limits. Okay. I dig that. I can totally support that. I mean, definitely a fan of term limits in Congress and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I could see how that would be the play. I like it. But of course in the interim, the Trump derangement syndrome is going to cause a few meltdowns. So,
right.
It'll be fun. And like JB said, next Trump book will be called The Art of the Troll. And I'm looking forward to reading it. I hope he writes some sort of like memoirs or behind the scenes, what I was thinking, what I was doing when I made this decision or made these series of decisions. Man, that would actually be a really good book to kind of get some, insight into what was actually going on in Donald Trump's head and with this, what he was talking about with his family and stuff like that at the same time. In regards to a lot of the things that he says, I mean, when he talked about turning Gaza into, when he talked about turning Gaza into, American property, what was it, Egypt and all these surrounding countries all of a sudden wanted to involve themselves in the whole, battle that's going on in the Middle East between the Palestinians and Israel. I mean, all he's got to do is say a couple words and countries respond. It's actually pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever seen any individual in my lifetime be able to be so tactical and get so many results just by saying something,
Right.
It's pretty wild. But yeah, I like that concept. Yeah. The art of the deal. He is a master of it. And, the more we refer to it, the more I feel like I should actually go and get the book and read it and see what I can learn and how I can apply it to my own life because it's working out for our country on a grand scale. It seems like, so I don't know. It's pretty wild. We're going to talk about Trump's potential third term limits. We got 2.1 million social security numbers were given out in 2024. I believe Elon Musk through Doge discovered that. I'm not really sure exactly. I think that's how it was discovered. I saw Elon Musk talking about it and reposting about it.
It was through someone specific that they brought on to help with Doge. I'm not sure if he's actually working with them. Okay. I forget the name now. It's like Alex Rodriguez or something like that. I can't remember who the guy's name is.
Okay. Isn't that
Antonio
guy
Gracias?
Baseball player? What's up, Jamie? What's up, Andrea? JB, TNT. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, my bad. Oh, what's up, Donnie? House. Good to have you back, House. We missed you last show. I was looking for our AI. Couldn't find you. But it's good to see you there. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. It's Monday.
I think some internet issues too, by the way. So if you see me drop out, that's why. I got stuff flickering on my end.
Flickering. Okay, that's cool. Remind everybody as well that if you're watching on America First TV or Atlas Thugged, or if you're on X as well, we are trying to move this stream. It's always going to stay up on X, but we are trying to move the stream over to a new channel, a channel solely for this show. It's called simply the Jar Openers Podcast on YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, if you would like to help support a couple guys just trying to do their best here in this little space of the culture war, make your way over there and click the subscribe button, and then watch from that channel, because that's where we're trying to focus, and it's an uphill battle trying to get it all monetized and everything like that. And so it helps us out with the algorithm as well too, with the comments and likes, and it's just less confusing for the algorithm. But like I said, if you're on X, appreciate you for watching there as well. And let's see here.
Yeah, Jade's actually 100% correct. If you as a man have any other shaker cup that's not bright pink, I will question your sexuality. The only
Is that what you're drinking out of?
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Right. This is one, yeah. Get some pre-workout in there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I actually made it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of insane. I'm like clinically insane. I drink pre-workout for regular activities. But I don't even know why I have it. I probably went through, I think it has to at least be like 30 or 40 blender bottles at this point. Because I'll end up forgetting one in my car during the wintertime. It'll crack because there'll be like a little bit of fluid in it, so it freezes the bottle over. Or I forget that I had protein in it and I'll leave it like somewhere and forget to clean it out. I don't know if anybody has experience with this, probably do.
It gets
but when you
caked
have when you smelled a protein bottle after like a day after it sat and it didn't get washed,
No.
it's like you walked into the morgue.
Oh man.
Yeah, it is. It is awful, and so it kind of like just kills the bottle. No amount of washing it after that will ever help it. So for some reason, this pink one survived like for a year now. There's something lucky about it, so I keep it.
Nice. Well, it is what it is. I like drinking out of this Yeti cup. I drink out of this thing all the time. Water, coffee. I don't drink whiskey out of it though. I always got to use a glass for whiskey.
I'd like to move to metal because it keeps the temperature a good bit better than like the plastic cups and other stuff, glass included.
Yep. What's up, Tix Bomber? I see you there. So then what else are we going to get into? Marine Le Pen was convicted and barred from running in the 2027 election, basically receiving the Trump treatment, as it were, pre-election, at least. Yeah, pre-election, right. I guess, for Trump. I mean, I think it still goes on. Even the one case was, what's it called? Dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice, which means I'm probably getting it wrong. But the way that it was dismissed means that they're leaving it open-ended, where after he's done being president, they can maybe revisit the charges, which is a bunch of bull crap. It's the new Trump rule, right?
Right. Well, I mean, technically, the Marine Le Pen news is like the biggest story that happened today. Had like 3 million people posting about it, especially because she is the same way with Donald Trump. She is the front runner over there with the newly branded RN party. She is the populist over there. There are videos that have been circulating since the news came out, just talking about former appearances, and you can see kind of like the way the crowd reacts when she's up on stage. She will be running for the president of France, which again has been in the news largely because of Candace Owens' crusade against the wife of said president, who is supposedly a man. Becoming Brigitte, I believe, is the name of that little series that she did. But there's like a bunch of like starkingly crazy parallels between what they're doing to her to what they did to Trump. And the craziest thing too is the fact that the charges they're getting her on actually are like financial charges from 2004. From 2004 to like 2016. They are basically like a misuse of funds charge. Now, in terms of like the evidence, from what I've seen, it looks like it's kind of a clear case. It looks like that under their guidelines, she technically did break whatever rule is there, but it's the case of everyone else is doing it and they're kind of selectively doing it, like enforcing it against her for some reason. There's a viral explaining video. It's like 2 minutes long of a girl from France who kind of talks in detail about like why this is all BS. People obviously all see it as BS as well too. But it seems that again, radical kind of deep state involvement there, using the same tactics they see there in America to kind of box out anybody who may be running that's not got their that's not got strings attached to them, that's a puppet of the network, if you will. Similar things happened to the guy in Italy, I forget what his name is, and Viktor Orban as well. Kind of all these similar tactics that have been getting used, finding old charges. And then the girl in the video who's like foreign, and forgive me because I don't know who it is, just some random girl who had like a multi-million viewed video. But she was basically saying the parties on the left wing side too. She's like, I would wager 80% of them were doing that too. And in short, it's the fact that she used, I guess, funds that were meant to be used for the parliamentary wing. She was using funds for like the domestic wing. And so it's not even like they see embezzling and all this, like she pocketed money. She didn't. It was just like she used some of that funds. It was like $4 million over a 12-year period. And instead of using the funds explicitly for the EU parliamentary wing, she used them domestically for like her own party usage. So it's not even about like stealing money or like pocketing it. It was that like she didn't put it in the right box. Essentially, it's like what the charge is. And so then she's getting like what, 2 years in prison, $100,000 fine, and then 5 years of being barred from politics completely.
Crazy. So yeah, we'll look into that a little bit more. Snow White has officially flopped. And while we're talking about Disney, I got a little side story that's kind of a cool story. If you're, historically a Disney fan, maybe they made a move this time that you'll like if you've been turned off by them over the last couple of years. You know what I mean? I say couple of years, but it's more like 8 years.
Yeah.
And I wonder, also, Dirty Money, the chat's going on over in the Jar Opener podcast channel. I see you chatting by yourself there over in mine. Appreciate you for being here. But if you want to see everybody else in chat, might go over to Jar Openers podcast channel.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, brother.
Yeah. Let's see here. Off-white at best. That's funny, Donnie.
That is funny. Yeah, it's a 4-year sentence. It's 2 years actual prison time, 2 years of like house detention, which I don't think is pretty much house arrest, but it probably has different definition over in Europe.
Interesting. Takes Bomber. It was a tradition of use it or lose it, and they would always use it because you can make the argument you need more next contract negotiation. Yeah, and that's how it goes with budgets and things like that. We've talked about that before. For Florida, for example, if they're under budget come into the year, they'll go and buy a bunch of palm trees and plant them all along the roads and in the medians and stuff like that, and make sure they spend the entire budget, so that way they don't lose money the next year, and then they can also say, look, we need more. We spent it all and we worked under a budget. We had to budget that to even get that right, which right. It's just the way that it is, and it's a shame. Definitely hoping Doge, Doge isn't going to get involved with the states and the state spending in that particular case, but when it comes to federal type funding, federal budgets, things like that, that's what Doge is all about, trying to reduce, the crazy waste that cost us an arm and a leg while we can't, buy eggs, which now we can buy eggs because eggs are down. But, and I use that as a metaphor, of course, because, I get my own eggs. What's up, King Solo Wings? Good to see you. We allowed Snow White to be replaced. To answer your question, what did the whites do wrong now in Oregon? TNT says in Oregon, if we come under budget, the remainder gets sent to the population as a kicker check. Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
They probably try to avoid it as much as possible. We don't want to help these people, man.
Right. They're like, we just want to stop right on the dot.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
But it's like worst rated movie of all time, right? Snow White's like 1.6 on IMDb. I believe it's actually gone beneath that since then. Previous record holder was at like a 1.8 out of 10. And the crazy thing too is like they kind of even sat on the movie for a couple years. Like it was pretty much almost all the way done almost a year ago.
Right. Well, they redid the whole dwarf aspect of it a couple times, thanks to what's his name, Peter Dinklage. Lost. There's actually a good segment from Pierce Morgan Uncensored, where this dude that used to be a WWF wrestler, he's a little guy, and he was talking about. He brought up some good points, talking about how Peter Dinklage. I think that's Dinklage. I don't know. Pretty inappropriate that Dink is in his name. It's like naming somebody with a big old birthmark, Mark. But anyways, he said something, and it basically, I wish I knew exactly what he said, to be honest with you. I can't remember. But it ended up costing little people jobs. And then this WWF wrestler, he goes in, he's like, it's not only just the main actors. He's like, you have stand-ins, you have doubles, you have a whole list of these actors that are out of work because of it. And then they ended up using like some, Pixar style, whatever it's called.
Right.
Technology to animation. Yeah, thank you to make the dwarfs for the movie. What's her name is super woke, said that the prince is a creep. Like the whole thing. She doesn't even like the movie, right? And the funny thing about Snow White is it actually was what kicked off the Disney company. It was like their first production or whatever. And so for them to deviate so far from it and just to turn it into such trash, which, I'm not watching Disney princesses really anymore. I liked Little Mermaid when I was a kid. And that's pretty much it. I've watched some with my own daughter as she was growing up, and she liked being a princess and everything. But, the way that they've done their original movie is pretty wild. But the cool thing is what they're moving into, or not what they're moving into, but what they're starting to include is apparently they've added a character to the new Pixar series that they're working on that is a Christian. So they praise and stuff. So, I mean, that's something that we can celebrate a little bit. What else are we going to get into? We'll talk about Snow White a little bit more here in a little bit. Prominent Epstein victim, I guess maybe allegedly. I guess we got to say allegedly. I don't know. Virginia Guffrey, I think is how you pronounce her name, apparently has only 4 days left to live after being hit by a speeding bus. So that's an unfortunate turn of events. She would love to see some type of vindication in her lifetime, which hopefully isn't, but doctors are saying it's not going to be long, not going to be much longer, which, sucks.
Right. Yeah. With her specifically, she was the one who came out and said that it was Prince Andrew. She was being facilitated to Prince Andrew via Epstein. And then what's wild about this whole thing is I believe it was like one of Prince Andrew's like staffers or like a lawyer or somebody who was involved with him quoted the viral post of the I think it was New York Post had reported this or broke the story and quoted it and said that's karma, because she's basically like saying like that this woman is like lying about all of her charges. And it was just like wild to see that, right? Like, wishing, they're saying, that's karma after being hit by a bus and have 4 days left to live. But overall, a sad story, right? Because I tend to believe that everything involved with the Epstein stuff is primarily and majority true. And for someone to get victimized like that, come forward, blow the whistle, be in a public space, and then ultimately what it looks like is you're not even going to live to see the day any of these people see justice, is a pretty unfortunate kind of dark ending to a story.
Right. Sorry, I got a dryness in my throat. I have to keep clearing my throat, so I apologize. I'm gonna try to mute myself as much as possible over the show, but I feel like there's still like 2% of that sickness that I had in January lingering. Let's see here. Well, let's just start at the top and talk about this Trump potential third term. So Trump is considering a third term, and so President Donald Trump has expressed So President Donald Trump has expressed that he is not joking about the possibility of seeking a third term in office. The statement he made during an interview with NBC News, in a statement that he made with NBC News, the assertion raises concerns as it appears to contradict the 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which limits a president to 2 terms. Trump mentioned that a lot of people want him to pursue another term and suggested that there are methods to achieve this, though he did not elaborate on what those methods might be. And hopefully, like, it's exactly like what Mad News mentioned, is that it's just trying to get the Democrats to be so, they're so anti-Trump that they're willing to start implementing, a hard term limits on the House and Congress and things like that. That would be the way to go for sure. We don't need these career politicians like Joe Biden, particularly Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, even some people on the right. Mitch McConnell. I don't need to name everybody, but you guys get it. These people spend their career up there in Washington, D.C., and they all, no more geriatrics in power. That's right, Six Bomber. But they all seem to get comfortable. They all start their families or have their families. All their kids go to school together. They're all hanging out afterwards, possibly even being, what's it called? Trying to say it nicely, possibly having relations even with each other,
Yep.
basically being the elites that gorge themselves from the Hunger Games, essentially. And that's what they do. They get comfortable. They protect each other. They act like they fight each other on TV. They say bad stuff about each other on Fox News and CNN and whatnot. But then they all go home. They go have a beer together, send their kids to the same schools. And, don't go too far on me, and I won't go too far on you. We'll all be comfortable up here and we'll get rich. Play the game.
It's
right?
all like convoluted, incestuous as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even just them, right? It's like you have a lot of reporters who live in DC as well too. Like kind of like an entire network, all kind of looped together on like a personal frame as well. Like they're just like a built-in network too. And you see it with lobbyists as well, what commonly referred to as like the revolving door of politics. This guy's like director of energy, and the next thing you know, 2 years later, he lands a job at, AEP, and now he's working with electrical engineering companies. And it's like, it's because he was in on a network and voted primarily in ways that would benefit whatever company had kind of put him up to the task to lobby for them while he was there. So the whole thing is, it's just a broken system. It's like basically what we're looking at here too. And so it'd be nice to get the term limits too. But I think overall, my kind of takeaway from it is less that it's to kind of a play on Democrats. I think it's more so a narrative control play. It's largely the way I view like the Greenland stuff. I think ultimately at the heart of the administration, they have no kind of real desire to own and purchase Greenland. Now there have been reports that there's oil, like undercover, like oil that may be in Greenland. Maybe that kind of changes the scenario. But overall, I think it's primarily to get people's attention away from things like Signalgate, as well as all of their other kind of like negative kind of PR stories they have flowing all at once right now. Maybe even take away, heat off of RFK as well. And he said it like how many times now too? It's been like maybe 10 times he's floated this idea out there, and now it seems like it's catching a bit more wind now. But probably because a lot of people are promoting it. Kind of, what they say, right? The I'm forgetting the word, but the girl group chats, right? When you see like all of the girl pundits posting the same thing at the same time, I've kind of seen similar about the terms today. But I think ultimately at the bottom of it, I think the only kind of hard detail he floated was the idea that he would run potentially as like a VP, as the vice president, with a JD Vance 2028 ticket. Although that post did get community noted, I believe it's laid out in the amendments, maybe not in the amendment, but maybe further kind of legality. A law writes out that it's still like the amendment still applies even as a vice president, right? So you couldn't serve a third term even as a VP on that ticket too. So a lot of me just lends to me to think that it's just his thing. It's like his current thing he can say to make people mad and like talk about something that's not, anything else major. So I think it's a good tactic. It's always good that you have like, control of the narrative over, the New York Times. It's better that Donald Trump's the one that's spinning the cycle versus them.
Right, and put up an image here. Trump wearing a big old crown. It's a nice crown. But we got this one right here. Trump is just toying with the media. LOL. Quote, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which in a way is a fourth term because the 2020 election was totally rigged. So it's actually sort of a fourth term. I just don't want the credit for the second because Biden was so bad. And Biden and who was behind Biden. But this is a little 2-minute clip. We'll go ahead and play this.
You said you were not joking about a third term, about possibly wanting a third term. Does that mean you're not planning to leave office on January 20th?
I'm not looking at that, but I'll tell you, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which is, in a way, it's a fourth term because the other election, the 2020 election was totally rigged. So it's actually sort of a fourth term in a certain way. I just don't want the credit for the second because Biden was so bad. He did such a bad job. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm popular, if you want to know the truth. I think I'm popular because we've done a great job. I think we've had the best almost 100 days of any president. And most people are saying that. And it's an honor. We're bringing back our country. We're respected as a country again. And we're strongly respected. And people are amazed. I was with some very important people today, and they said that they've never seen a turnaround of the country as fast as this. Even look at our border. We have nobody coming in. And you can come into our country, but you have to come in legally. But we have nobody coming in to our country. It's almost shut down. They've never seen anything like this.
At an appropriate precedent limits a president to 2 terms. Is it your understanding that they have to
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just telling you, I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that. But I've had a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead. Did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you think that's an appropriate precedent to set, even if it wasn't you in this position, to see a president serve a third term?
I don't want to talk about a third term now because no matter how you look at it, we got a long time to go. We have a long time. You know, we have almost 4 years to go. And that's a long time. But despite that, so many people are saying, you've got to run again. They love the job we do. Most importantly, they love the job we do.
So, yeah, that's pretty funny. You know, I don't think he really wants it, to be honest. But, you know, that what you're mentioning there with him being possibly vice president ticket, be on the vice president ticket for Vance. I mean, I guess I don't know how that actually works, if that's legal, because of course, if something happens to Vance, then Trump would be inserted, and then so I'm not sure exactly how that would actually go. Maybe they would have to address it directly, if and when the time comes. But I feel like it's probably not necessary. You know, I mean, Trump should be able to get a lot done in these 4 years. Should be able to. He did cut off the, you know, everybody coming in across the border, and then still waiting for the mass deportations to take effect. But he's been getting a lot done, and you know, after 4 years of getting things done at the pace that he started, you know, this country's gonna look a lot different. So who knows? Everybody might hate him by the end of the 4 years, and he just doesn't. Oh, sorry, autoplayed. But like I was saying, everybody might hate him at the end of the 4 years, and he's just like, oh, I'm obviously not going to run again. You know, who knows, right? But
yeah,
I know the tariffs is a scary thing to the Democrats. It's not nearly a scary thing, as scary to me. Because I want to see production and mining and things like that return to our country and make us less, you know, reliant on, you know, countries that essentially hate us and hate our way of life. You know, it's a wild balance. And if they decided that they don't like what we're doing with the threat of BRICS going on, you know, we could be cut off from a lot of stuff that we actually need, which would, you know, cost Americans their lives. Especially if it was, you know, medical related and whatnot. But
yeah, I mean, I just think it's for 2 reasons. One, you know, it'd be cool, haha, kind of funny, right? Like the left goes mad and Trump gets a third term. Ultimately, it's kind of like a short-term kind of like trolling victory. I think ultimately the reality still is like I wouldn't want a president who's going to be 86 at like in their final year of
Right.
being president. Also, secondly, I would like that we get much more radical. As much as I have my suspicions about JD Vance's particular kind of background, he's still, at least the character that he plays, in my opinion, is still a little bit more radical than where Trump is at on specific things. But that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see a much more radical and right wing, true kind of right wing conservative, make the kind of swing at the throne and get a chance to run for president, and less so about like this kind of I guess, MAGA kind of merry-go-wheel, right? Or merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Vance would be all right. I can't even hesitate to even say that. But very radical, right? And it's hard to even have an idea of like who that could possibly be. I believe people are like, people who probably were disbarred from this administration because they wanted to protect from everyone being so up in arms about Project 2025. Like be like somebody like John McAfee, maybe a couple others as well. But I'm just kind of like, I guess I'm like, I like Trump, don't get me wrong, but ultimately I think for like practical reasons like age, but also if we're kind of following this path of incrementalism and we're wanting to continually like move on the offensive, right, and get this country a lot closer to a Christian nationalist state, you're going to need somebody who is a lot more, Christian nationalist than like the 0% that Donald Trump is. And so that's kind of like looking forward, who could we get? That's a bit more radical and down the line there in terms of that. But it's kind of hard to think of ideas because I think we already have kind of like a flooded bench right now. When you have like characters such as DeSantis and Vivek and Vance, obviously, it's going to be hard to tell. But we'll see when those primaries come too. I think people will be a lot more open to a much more radical turning of the guard or changing of the guard when we get to those primaries. But that's still a good bit far away too. And obviously we have to see what happens with like, the inevitable impeachment attempts that are going to occur throughout his presidency, and how successful stuff like that may be.
Yeah, for sure. See you later, King Solo Wings. Appreciate you for stopping in for a little while here. Maybe we'll see you again before the show's over, or we'll catch you on Wednesday. But
yeah, take care, King. Phenomenal addition. Join the Discord too, brother.
Yeah, join the Discord. We got all the links down in the description and all that good stuff. TNT, wait, where'd it go? TNT said, "Where's Dirty at?" He was over on my channel, and I haven't seen him pop up on the Jar Openers channel, so I'm not sure. He might just be
he got lost.
he's loading. Let's see here.
Buffering, but it is funny.
Buffering, yeah.
Just make Barron Trump or make Barron president. But what's funny is I've actually been a proponent of that for a long time, which is like lowering the requirement of age to be president of the country down to like 30 years old. I ultimately, like, if we want to change the direction and we want people to not be geriatric by the time they enter office, we have to entertain the idea of someone getting in there when they're very young, right? People, even the NFL had a hard time with it, right? It's like daily news. It's like, Sean McVay's only 41 years old. How's he going to coach a team full of grown men? And like, people are kind of, a little fraught at that idea of like, oh, how's the guy going to lead, 90 or what's the roster size? It's like 85 or 95. Can't remember. I think it's maybe 105. How's he going to lead 100 men? I think the same thing applies. I think ultimately, if you're looking as a future visionary, I think of somebody like with El Salvador, right? Nayib Bukele. He's pretty young for a president, at least in like our experience of what we have over here, like in the Western world, and the typical kind of 16, 70-year-olds to fulfill those positions. And you just see the kind of energy he has, and like that kind of what's the right word for that? That aggressiveness, the assertiveness. When he looks at people and he goes, actually, we are going to back all of our currency with Bitcoin. Actually, all of you gangbangers are going to sit in prison and rot for the rest of your lives. Actually, I don't actually give a shit what the left thinks, and then just does things. Like, that's the kind of energy that we need. Mm-hmm. Not to say that Trump isn't that, but just to say that there is definitely shades darker than what Trump has been with that. And I would like to see that for us here in America.
Yeah. TNT says, consider 35 when they wrote the Constitution was a fairly old man, much like a young senior these days. Yeah, that's true. That's actually the lifespans were much shorter back then on average. That's for sure.
Yeah, 53 on the active roster, but it's the practice squad's like 32. I was thinking of the whole roster, so I think it's 85 in total. But yeah, House knows that because House
AI.
Yeah, House AI, right?
You're gonna have to change your name there, House.
Who brought up furries? Is it Tix? I guarantee Tix brought up furries again.
Yeah, I said the Discord comes with furries.
See, Tix is one that like you have to just. We're gonna have to wait and see on Tix because I can't tell if he's gay right now or not.
No, he's not.
I think he's doing this like this back end subversion where he wants people to be furries. No, I'm just messing.
No, he was simping over or was that Steve? Somebody was simping the other day. Or we're joking about it at least. I can't remember who.
So I think it was Tix again too.
Right. I'm just trying to think who was it that we were talking about? Was it Candace or was it I can't remember now, but
I think it might have been Pam Bondi or somebody like that.
That might be it. All I know is we got a great chat, and I love you guys. You guys crack me up, and you're smart. But let's see here. Evil Elmo says, "I would like to announce that I found out today I am Elon's love child, waiting for my 2.5 million and 500 grand a month." LOL. Yeah, me too. Matter of fact,
he lowered the amount that he's paying. It's what did he lower it to? It's like $22,760 or something like that. He lowered it to like the absolute minimum requirement that he has to reach, paying that child support, which is crazy to think, right? That somebody would want to like demand more than that, right? Like some families are living off of like $3,000 income themselves. It's like, what are you saying, right? When you say like that's you need more, you need more money than that a month. I think ultimately, if you look at that story in particular, I think this is just somebody who lost all of their clout, the thing that gives them their ability to make money on the internet. And so now it's someone, kind of a desperate clawing attempt to maintain that kind of lavish lifestyle by getting the court system and through child support via Elon, which he doesn't even know if it's his kids, who's kind of doing this as a charity without a paternity test.
That's wild. I can't believe they would actually he would fork over that kind of money without demanding the paternity test, to be honest. I mean, I feel like should be kind of normal status quo. But speaking of which, Ashley St. Clair was spotted selling her Tesla. So, of course, nowadays, if you're connected to Elon Musk and you sell your Tesla, it's going to make, well, not mainstream media news. It's going to make alt media news.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah, she's TNT. She recorded herself selling her 100K Tesla to Carvana effort. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's just rude, right? The dude's giving you a lot of money. But got this post here. It says new known gold digger Ashley St. Clair, famous for her "please respect my privacy" plea, was spotted selling a $100,000 Tesla outside her lavish Manhattan condo, courtesy of Elon Musk. She claims it's time. She claims it's to cover a $100,000 child support cut for a kid under one. Absurd. Since no infant needs that kind of money, this isn't about support. It's about her clinging to a luxurious lifestyle and chasing big payments. She's lost. With no real fame, she likely called the paparazzi herself to drum up attention. And it comes with this little video here. It's a minute long, so we'll just go ahead and play it.
I'm selling it because I need to make up for the 60% cut that Elon made to our son's child support.
Why do you think that he did that?
That's a great question for him.
You feel like he was sort of like vindictive against you in some way?
Yeah, that's his modus operandi when women speak out.
When was the last time that you spoke to him or tried to speak to him?
February 13th.
But he's just not responding to you at all. And how would you characterize sort of the way that he's going about?
You can check the stocks. I am.
Okay.
I'm not the only one.
We won't get to
it.
We're not going to get to
Yeah, which if you catch that part right,
Mm-hmm.
she's doing what like Tim Walz is doing. No, she's like talking shit about Elon. Like this, so it's it's funny and sad at the same time, right? There's a kid involved, like poor kid. He's going to be in the public spotlight for the rest of his life. His mom's going to get spammed out for probably the rest of her life. Like, hey, remember that one time you were a gold digging whore with Elon? Like, she'll never leave that behind. It's part of the reason why mothers need to make good decisions, and respectful decisions about themselves, because it's going to come onto their children. Same thing with fathers as well, but women get it in a different light. But doing that thing that Tim Walz did, right, with when he was on stage and he was like, "Man, I have a little app that follows Tesla stock, and I get a little excited when I see it goes down every day." And it's like, that's what she's doing, right? She's like,
everybody cheered, and then 2 days later, the stock took a nice bump back up.
right.
And ultimately, too, just a side note with that story, it was still up from where it had started the year, I think is what it was. I can't remember, but it's basically, it was still up. It was just taking a dip temporarily with as a response to all the lefties hating on the Teslas and everything like that, which I keep seeing these videos over and over again of people going up to Teslas and keying it. And it's like, how can you be that effing stupid? Don't you know every electric car has like 900 cameras? The new Mustang that I just bought, it has like a drone view. It doesn't send out a drone, but I can push the camera button and I can see the top of the car and all around it from a top view, like there's a drone above the car, like straight down.
Right.
Not to mention they're out of multiples out of both bumpers and the sides. It's it's really stupid that these people are just, I mean, it just exemplifies how uneducated and distance and just the how uneducated they are and how disconnected they are from like reality and technology and stuff like that. I saw a lady today go up to some dude in a Tesla Cybertruck, and she was yelling at him through his passenger window as he like stopped at a stoplight or something. And a couple lady cops came up and they're kind of like, "You guys got to get out of the road." And it's just like, are you seriously, like, in Florida, in these other states where you're allowed to constitutional carry, like that is not a smart thing, especially in Florida, particularly where DeSantis passed during the 2020 Summer of Love that if the roadway is obstructed and you are in danger, you can hit the gas pedal. I mean, so it's not a smart thing for folks to mess around in the roads with cars. just period.
Right. But these people
crazy.
are retarded.
Right.
I mean, the average leftist has, the average IQ of a, unfortunately, probably abandoned orphan that didn't get proper education. And that's what you see with these videos too. It's always these like dysgenic freaks who are doing things. I mean, the one was like that like obese black dude who rammed like a Walmart shopping cart with the wheels, like the chair thing, into that guy's Tesla. It's like, and it's just like, again, it's insane. And the funniest stuff that I saw was the guy posted, and he's like, "So you're telling me that I can paint swastikas all over my vehicle and people will just think a leftist vandalized me?" It's like, I've never been more proud. And it's like him in the garage painting his own Tesla with like the swastikas on it. I thought that was pretty funny.
This is funny.
But with the value, I see people were talking about the value of the car. What's insane, and I actually looked this up because I was in the business of looking at cars not too long ago. What people don't think about in this term is actually the long term. And I was always kind of a doubter of Tesla too, but I see that people who take well and good care of their Teslas, I believe it was like the which one was it? It was like the $70,000 Model S, which is like the very base form of, I think, what you see here in this video is.
Okay.
Actually can, like the engine, or like, I say the engine, like more like the battery really.
Yeah, there's no engine.
Yeah.
There's there's electric motors.
Yeah, like the electric motors, but the overall, the car can actually last like around 850,000 miles. So if you get one that's good, I mean, you're basically, the average motor vehicle lasts about 300,000 miles.
Right.
So if you're looking at like long term, that's about like 2.5 lifespans of a vehicle. So it's basically like if you're looking at getting a 30K, brand new RAV4 or whatever, and you're gonna have to drop 35,000 anyways. Well, you're probably better off just buying the Tesla at the higher price if you can afford it, because it's probably going to last you more than likely the rest of your life. I mean, if you look at a 30,000 mile a year rate, typical vehicle gets you like 10 years of life, and a little bit more or less on your commutes and your ratios there. But if a Tesla can do 25 years worth of life, you don't have to worry about a car for 25 years. I mean, like that kind of investment's kind of like what's not, I guess, factored into there too.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate reality is, if the Tesla, you need special kind of thing. So if something goes wrong with it, it's going to more than likely be more expensive than a Honda part. And so there's things to think with there too. But as somebody who was personally always like never really like with Tesla, I saw that longevity aspect, and I was like, actually, that does put a lot of good value into it too, right? Especially if you can get a newer model, maybe not a newer model, but you can get one of the models that's been shown to have like a 90% ratio of them getting over 800,000 miles. Like, that'd be worth your investment on that end.
Yeah. Evil Elmo says, the problem I see living in Florida, hurricanes and salt water hitting the battery. Well, I think they keep the batteries like encased pretty tightly. You don't have to worry about flood water, like being like submerged.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not sure if this is the case with Teslas, but with the electric Mustang that we just bought, my wife went out there, with a magnet that, she's got like a little circle magnet and it says like, I love my dogs or something like that. Right. And she tried to stick it on the back, and the back of the car is not metal. It's only the sides of the car. So when it comes to like saltwater corrosion, in this case, with this one particular car, a lot of the exterior of the car isn't even metal. So you're not going to experience that. And, to your point there, that the Teslas do serve their purpose. And I'm with TNT there. He said here, wait, no one TNT. Was it TNT? Let's see. Yeah, he said if I had $100,000 car, or $100,000 for a car, I'd probably be able to swing another $50K to get a classic muscle car. F those Teslas. It's definitely agree with that, because I love the old, I love a good muscle car, and I'm in the camp of Tucker Carlson, where he drives the old truck that's on the carburetor, completely unable to be shut down externally. Essentially, all the new cars can just be shut down with a press of a button, which is pretty messed up. So yeah, I'm definitely, I like the old cars. I love fast cars, but that's the one thing that Tesla's got, is they're fast. This Mustang that I have, when I'm on the highway going like 60 and some dude's going slow in the left lane, if I just touch the gas, it doesn't do that like downshift. You don't have that like half a second where the car downshifts before it accelerates. It just goes, and it's incredibly fast. And that's not even on like the ludicrous speed mode. That's just on like, it's got 3 settings, like chill, regular driving, and then like let's go race. And that's just the regular driving mode. So if I had it in the other one, man, that thing would smoke, and it does already anyways. It's pretty incredible how fast they are. But I think the other aspect that the Teslas have is the luxury. No, it's not the loud like Hellcat, but it's got the the self-driving, and unless it's raining or foggy or certain scenarios, you can just push a button, keep your hands on the wheel, obviously still pay attention to the road, but it will keep you, like, you put the blinker on, it'll change lanes for you. All the self-driving type of technology. And then I'm a fan of also when they put out a new update, you get new features for the car. So it's kind of like your car is evolving. It's not like what you buy isn't what you end up with a couple years later. You have like a different version of it, and hopefully it's better than what you started out with. Right. So I mean, so there's a use for it, definitely a use for it. And the thing too is they retain their value. But when we did buy this car, it's one of the first cars that we've actually got like the extended 7-year warranty, right? So when those phone calls start coming in about my warranty expiring, I'm gonna call them liars. But
right,
because we got it and it's gonna last. But no, this one's cool. It even covers like paint scratches and door dings and stuff like that, which that's the Ford thing. It's not the Tesla thing. But I assume that Tesla probably has very similar type of things, coverage and insurance and whatever. But well, originally we were Jay says, brag about your Tesla all you want, Tyler. It's still gay. Well, it's a Mustang. It's a Ford. I never thought the first Ford that I would first Mustang that I would own. It was almost the first car that I bought back in the 90s. I almost got a purple Mustang with a white convertible top. It was like a 1994. It was dope. I loved it. I wanted to drive that around, but it was a 6-speed, and my dad didn't think I could. Thought it was a little too much for me for my first car, and he was right. He was right. So,
It's funny.
but I always wanted a Mustang ever since then, and I never thought it would be an electric one. That's for sure. But the Mustang came with a matching purse. Yeah, it's blue. It's like I got a blue purse, but it's designer. It's designer.
That is funny.
No, but my wife loves it. I still drive actually I drive this car around town just because it's so fast and nice and everything. But I got the Ram Rebel that it's my truck, right? But
Yeah.
with all the features and everything, I guess, long story long, with everything that comes with it, the Tesla's even being more integrated with the automatic self-driving and stuff like that. They even do a little more than what my car does, which I'm hoping, this technology advances. But, the older people get, the safer they want to drive, the worse their vision gets and stuff like that. Like, so this is going to, Teslas have like a really good, like, niche purpose. The downside is the batteries, and, what's going to happen in 10, 20 years when all these batteries are all of a sudden old. But I guess we'll just have to deal with it whenever we go. Yeah, I got a Mach-E. He said, wait, you have a Mach-E? I need to see proof of wife now.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
That is really funny. It's got this thing where, there's no engines, no motor. So when you open the hood, it's actually like a little mini trunk. It's called a frunk. And I think that word is so cringe, but my wife uses it all the time. And I can say that because she's not watching the show right now. It's her favorite feature of the car. I think she loves it. She opens the hood and it's got all of her realtor stuff in there.
He's like, oh, it's just coincidence. My wife's not around right now.
TNT, don't frunk me, bro. But yeah, I love it. We started off shopping for Teslas, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Tesla screwed us over. They gave us a quote online, asked for a couple $100 down, and then once we gave them the couple $100 down, it was non-refundable. We knew it, but instantly the quote on the page changed. So it's like, wait a minute, they bait and switched us hardcore. It went up like $400 or $300 a month from what it was. Tyler has a frunk. But it went up, $200, $300, $400 a month from what it was telling us before we gave the deposit. My wife called him, got him on the phone immediately. I was like, yo, I want my money back. I just paid it to you. You got to give it back. I know it says non-refundable, but I want it. And they're like, nope, sorry, it's non-refundable. And it's like, all right, well, then we're not going to buy a fucking Tesla. Y'all can fuck off. We're trying to buy a Tesla to support the cause while y'all are getting all this hate and everything like that. And then we found out that this Mach-E was 0 down, 0 interest, and just like cash. So it's like, all right, well, Tesla lost out on that one.
Yeah,
but
rule of thumb is also like, I learned this from the inside, working at my most recent insurance company, which is a telltale way that you can tell a company's going to fuck you over is if they promise they can give you a quick and easy quote. It never works that way, especially when it comes to things where it's going to matter, like what your finances are, who might be the co-signer on something, what your financial status is, your credit score. And if people promise you they can give you a quote without asking for any kind of meaningful information, you're going to get overpromised and underdelivered every single time.
Right.
And in fact, a lot of the time that they do that is they harvest your data, and they in turn sell that. So when you put in a quote for 123 insurance, and you see that you fill that quote, and the next thing you know, it's like, well, maybe we can get it for $25 a month. Then you fill it out, and it's like, actually, it's going to be $99 a month with less services than what you applied for. What ends up happening is they sell that data. They sell it to a data harvester who then in turn sells it to lead generating companies. And they take that information, and then every other, insurance company on the planet Earth will then look at that. So when you want to know why you're getting spammed with calls after you went somewhere or looked something up, put information in, just know in a matter of minutes, all of that personal information was then sold. So you can trust the companies when they say like, man, can you just tell me how much it's going to cost? And they're like, I literally can't tell you how much it's going to cost. You got to answer a few questions. Then you're going to know, like, I can trust these people, because they're not going to try to give you some float like airy hollow number until you give meaningful information over. And then it's going to be like, okay, now here's your actual rate, because quotes are just so meaningless. Quoting most often is just to get your foot in the door and then get you so through the process that you feel like you'll just have wasted time if you kind of walk away from the table at that point. And so there's a lot of things with that too. So just don't trust it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a, made Tesla look bad. It's like, all right, well, I'm still principled to myself, and although I want to support Tesla, fuck y'all. Y'all do bad business.
You came home from that Tesla dealership. You grabbed you came home from that Tesla dealership, and you immediately came out and you put on your old Bernie Sanders hat, and you're like, fuck this group. Started reposting Cenk Uygur.
Well, speaking of Cenk Uygur, I feel like that's where Ashley St. Clair is destined to work. I feel like she's going to replace Francesca Fiorentini over at TYT Network. I would not be surprised if over the next year or two. I mean, that's the move that I'd be making if I was running TYT. I'd be like, I got to get this girl on my payroll, get her a show, right, something like that, because, that would, being anti-Tesla and anti-Elon is right up our alley if you're from that perspective, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if the call hasn't been made already.
I mean, listen, if anybody had followed me like a year ago, I had been on this bandwagon a long time ago. I was talking about Ashley St. Clair, Lauren Southern, all these people before all these scandals came out, because you can just tell. I mean, Ashley St. Clair's prominence is largely tied to the fact that she is kind of like a diversity hire. This is a liberal, very well and loud pronounced liberal before, ultimately becoming MAGA. So she got promoted a lot more in the early days, because this is somebody who had walked away from the left. Same thing with Brandon Straka and others. But it's they're going to return to roots the moment there's not a financial incentive for these people to do these things, or they're not getting some kind of large benefit from it, they'll return to normal. We're about to see the same thing happen with James Lindsay. James Lindsay's going to probably walk away from the right wing here too, because he's just getting ratioed to oblivion. Guy's 2 million followers on X, and every single post I look at, well, because I can only look at because he blocked me a long time ago, he's getting ratioed by some random guy who has a goose as his profile picture with 8 followers. It's people are no longer vibing with that stuff, right? It was good when he was fighting communism, but now after he pulled that stunt where he rewrote the Communist Manifesto and then sneakily edited it and then posted it on a Christian website and then used that as hey, look, the Christians are using communist ideals. It's dude, you are actually the ultimate Reddit boss. You are if you took every of the worst kind of people on Reddit and combined them, you get James Lindsay. And it's it seems smart if you're listening from a distance, and then you listen up close for longer than 2 minutes. You're oh, this guy's literally deranged. This guy is mentally deficient. And so it's just there's a lot of people like that, right? I mean, Lauren Southern got exposed for the Russian stuff and and having sex with Destiny. She just disappeared. She's she's my career's over. No one's gonna listen to me anymore. Right?
She got with Destiny? I didn't even know that. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, she just entirely disappeared off the face of the earth because, for one, if she ever she shows her face again, all of her fans, because she had built up, are not female. Her base is male. She's played on this whole oh, I'm just this hot blonde, and I put it's okay to be white, and she did some good things, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, she's still a covert feminist. And so you put up a male base based on your sexuality and the things you talk about. Everyone's going to flame you because you had sex with Destiny, and you were also married to an intelligence operative, and you also took money from Russia and then had to go to court over it. It's
that's crazy.
Come on, it's your career's done, dude.
Yeah,
but I called this a long time ago, man. We're talking almost 10, 11 months ago when I was making videos about this.
I only know her from sounding smart, getting super drunk on Timcast, and like she sounded smart. She sounded like she was in the right place or whatever. But then she got super drunk on Timcast. That was really funny. And then they made jokes about her the next time she came. And that was kind of the beginning and end of what I've known about Lauren Southern. But it was enough for me to remember her name and who she is. And I think, didn't she actually like, I want to say she got like a Canadian driver's license as a male, something like that. She did some type of like publicity stunt like that. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but
her main claim to fame was the "It's Okay to Be White" campaign. That I think ultimately got her like banned off of like Patreon, and a few other networks. I think she was, I think she had like maybe like on one of this, but there's like at a certain point, I think Canada listed her as like a terrorist or like a domestic terrorist, something along those lines. Because in that original "It's Okay to Be White" campaign, they were just printing out like white T-shirts and black font. "It's okay to be white." So she had like a lot of involvement with the early origins of like that movement too.
okay.
Like no one really kind of does that stuff anymore, or hasn't in a while. But that was like her main claim to fame. And next thing you know, it's like this dinky blonde girl is getting banned and labeled as like the enemy of the state. And it's like all she did was make a T-shirt. And so it's not like to say she did bad things, but ultimately you will return to roots, right? She was never truly like a deeply conservative. She cared about her race, which I think anybody of any kind of political side of the aisle is going to care about their own race. Maybe not white liberal women, but I think every other kind of group maintains that at least to some degree.
Right. But then having sex with Destiny, that's just get out of here, man. Look, I'm married, so I can't draw the comparisons. But I'll say Francesca's cute, but I would never touch her, right? I'm a little too principled, and I relate the physical with the mental part, and I just could never be with somebody that I don't align with ideologically like that. Me and my wife have had the conversations many times that, we both are saying, if you were a Democrat, we would be divorced. So I think aligning ideologically is, with your partner is a big one. Especially nowadays, dude. I just couldn't I could not tolerate a feminist crazy Democrat in my house, no matter how freaky she was, I guess.
Right.
Let's see here. Naked Gollum doesn't seem pleasant. She needs lime green hair so people know that she's toxic from a distance. Right. I got totally what am I trying to say? Sidetracked by Lauren Southern. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Ashley St. Clair being a gold digger, but that's kind of like the end of that story there.
Yeah, for sure.
The next major one, well, really, I guess we should just touch on, it's already past the hour mark, the Marine Le Pen story, since that is our thumbnail.
Yeah.
So basically, main story there is we're seeing parallels. Another populist leader who's the front runner to be entertaining there in France as the president in 2027 ultimately gets disbarred over charges they went and had to literally dig for over financial means. They gave her kind of a harsh seemingly sentence from how she had used and allocated funds in 2004 through 2004 to like 2016. I actually written the actual number down earlier. I don't see it there. Yeah, 2004 to 2016. Sentenced to prison for 2 years, 2 year of house detention, I believe is like what it's also called as well. A lot of really rough things happening over in Europe. Obviously, this just being the latest one. There's another smaller one that's kind of loosely attached to this too. But there is a video. Her name is, oh Lord, I can't say this. Eva Vlardingerbroek, I think is how the right way to say that.
Sounding a little Russian there, buddy. Are you sure?
Yeah, right. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. But I think that's how you say that. But that's like, she put out like a little 2-minute video just talking about how BS everything is. I'm just gonna highlight it, Whirl, if you wanted to put it up on screen and present it. My internet is like on the verge of going out, so I'm barely touching my computer.
No, you're good.
I don't like mess anything up.
I don't see the highlight though.
It's the I put.
Oh, there it is.
Video.
There it is.
Yeah, it's got that blonde girl.
You tried to read that last name out loud?
Yeah. Vladimir
A lot are not going to work here anymore.
Yeah.
That's an Office Space reference for those of you that don't know.
Right. But yeah, so basically lawfare, political lawfare happening in a foreign country. However, this one was successful, right? So this isn't like, oh, she's facing these charges. The news was dropped that she had been convicted yesterday at like 5:30. And so everyone's kind of like reacting to that the day after. Obviously, no one cares about news that late in Sunday evening. People are getting ready to go to work the next day, so on and so forth. But the conviction was over the fact that the allocation of funds, although they say the conviction is embezzling, it's like 4.1 million euros over that span of 11 years. And then it was more so specifically that she was using EU parliamentary funds for her RN staff, which they claim is like a violation of, a financial violation. So she's getting the fine, the disbarment for 5 years from holding public office, as well as everything else that we had listed earlier. But ultimately, there's just a lot of parallels to what's happening with Donald Trump, and she kind of espouses. And in fact, from what I understand, Marine Le Pen is actually a little bit to the right of a Donald Trump. Now, in terms of the religiosity of that aspect, I'm not too sure. Her father was John something Le Pen. Forgive me because I can't remember these foreign names. It was actually much further to the right when he was in charge of the party. So she had done a bit of like rebranding. She even changed the party name to like the RN, which I forget now. It's like the Rally something. They used to have a slightly different name a little bit ago, but she's kind of like rebranding it. It does have a lot of very strong right-wing ties. Very close to like
Bill Maher.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's like I'm trying to think of the best way to tie that. Basically, she wanted to just distance herself a little bit from where she had been at.
Okay. So should we play this video then?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're just going to repeat what you just said or how this
She'll
goes.
speak a little bit better with an accent and from a European perspective. So.
And she's blonde, so that'll make it sound better too.
Right? Yeah, I can never capture people's attention like this, I guess. Never egos, never.
Joking about her last name here, VLAAR Dinger Broke. I almost thought there was 3 A's in there. First word in history that's got 3 A's, but no, not quite. Vlardinger broke. Kind of sounds like could be something else.
Vlardinger broke.
Vlardinger broke. I don't know. I'm probably saying it completely wrong.
Yeah,
anyways, here we go. Here we go. Oh, Jamie's taking off. Gonna go chill for the night, y'all. More VA stuff tomorrow. I have to do a drug test, so I'm trying to get my anxiety down. Okay. Well, yeah. Have a good evening, Jamie. Glad to see you. Like always, we'll see you back in the Discord as well. You were cracking me up with the stuff you were posting earlier. I had to go and get caught up. I literally didn't look at the computer all day yesterday. So,
well, luckily, meth leaves the body pretty quickly.
What's that?
I said, luckily, meth leaves the body pretty quickly. Maybe you can drink a gallon of water every like 13 and a half hours, something like that.
Oh, I thought she meant she gets to test them. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, right.
It's like, which ones are you going to test? Make sure you film it.
Yeah. I like the ones that induce seizures. Do you have any of those?
Six Bomber asked a question. Did I see something where Trump invited Bill Maher to the White House? It was just a thumb I think I saw somewhere. Yeah, I believe he did, actually. I think it came from, that might have been why Kid Rock was at the White House, actually, when we talked, what we're talking about from the beginning. Because Kid Rock just recently went on Bill Maher's show, and I think he even followed that with a Club Random episode, but I could be wrong about the Club Random part, which that's Bill Maher's podcast. Because I know none of you guys are subscribed to Bill Maher, but no, just kidding about that. But no, Kid Rock challenged him, said, I'd like to take you to the White House and, introduce you to Trump. And because, Bill Maher has like Trump derangement syndrome, really, really bad. It's like a severe case. And so,
I think his nose gets a little bit bigger. It's like,
believe he went. Let's see here. Yeah. Where is it? TNT said, I'm about to test out a J. Good.
That's funny.
Yeah, I quit smoking like hardcore. Like I was a daily smoker for years, and then I quit last year just straight up. But then I've dabbled a little bit lately, but I'm messing up, y'all. I'm letting myself down, and so today I'm back off of it actually, and got to get back to making my videos. I can see a trend of how it makes me be like, F it, I don't want to work. I'll find other busy work.
It'll be my first comment on the video you post tomorrow. But like, oh man, finally, brother stopped smoking weed long enough to make a video. I've been waiting for this one.
Right. JB says, "Why you lying, Tyler? You got a mock you smoke all day." I used to. I stayed high for years. We were talking about it in the Discord that once I actually quit last year, I started dreaming again. I hadn't dreamed for a long time or remembered my dreams, but then suddenly I started having very vivid, long dreams. I'd even wake up and go back to sleep into the same dream. But anyways, like I said, got to get focused again. I'm messing up. So I'm struggling in that. So pray for me in that aspect. Let's see here.
Right.
Like it's one of those things that I'll maybe indulge with every once in a while, but I can't have it part of my daily. I almost feel like it gives you like a hangover, which I never noticed before, but I seem to notice it now.
Right.
The Iceman, what's up, Iceman? Good to see you back. The Le Pen is a sign they are desperate. Nothing for us will come easy. We need to stay engaged and keep fighting. It doesn't matter who you are. We all have a role we should be playing in this struggle. I agree. And that's why we're here. 100%. Right. That's why we're here. And I appreciate you for being here and supporting us in that same effort. And you guys make sure you hit that like button, share this with all of your friends, even the people that you don't like. They'll at least stop in for a second because you sent them a link, right?
Yeah. We'll play this video. I'm going to go back to that comment too, because I remember there's another, like a smaller side story with this, with the UK that I think ties into this, but we'll play this video first.
Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate that, by the way. Okay.
Okay, so the lawfare being used against right-wing politicians in Europe is being taken to a whole new level. Marine Le Pen, the leader of Rassemblement National, the populist right-wing party in France, has just been sentenced to 4 years in jail, of which 2 suspended, and has been barred from partaking in French politics for the next 5 years. That means that she's been barred from running against Macron for the position of the president of France. She's been convicted for allegedly embezzling European funds, misusing European funds for her national fraction of the party instead of the European fraction of the party, which I dare to bet money on the fact that if any judicial system in any European country would launch an investigation into left-wing parties to see if they were doing that let's say 80% of them would be found guilty of the same thing, because I used to work in the European Parliament, and trust me, this is something that I think happens a lot more than they want you to believe. And of course, we will never know that because they don't launch investigations into left-wing parties, because the whole aim of this is to crush the right wing in Europe, because we're growing too fast. And so the system, the cabal, needs to come down on us through another way. And what do? Lawfare. They're banning us. They're banning our parties. They're banning politicians from running. They're convicting us of hate speech and hate crimes. That's how they do it. That's the new strategy. And, think about it for a second. Embezzlement of European funds. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, is under investigation for corruption because she closed a 35 billion euro deal with the CEO of Pfizer via text message. And we still don't have those text messages, but she is the president of the European Commission, and Marine Le Pen is not allowed to run as the president of France. If that is not two-tier politics, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of the same kind of similarities we're seeing there.
Yeah.
Two-tier politics, right? Knowing there's rules for thee, not for me. A
right.
lot of the same kind of just there's no way, just very overtly obvious lawfare political kind of endeavors. That's like, dude, it's clear you're doing this for a specific agenda, for a specific reason. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing we're seeing with the rest of Europe, as well as what they try to do here in America, although it's a little bit harder in America, although that seemingly gets easier by the day the stupider people get. It's clear that they have a very specific globalist agenda that are putting in place, and Europe's getting the brunt of it right now. They're getting, we're making fun of them for the fact that they're banning like knives now. They ban guns now. They're making like square knives and stuff. Like they're full on down this path of like being very far away from where we are here in American politics and rights and such too. But I think at the end of the day, this growing movement, what they see, the fear is that these people all of a sudden woke up and they're like, you know what? I actually don't think I want 18,000 Muslims taking over my nation. You know what? I think maybe I would like to actually feel pride for being white and being French. And that goes on with almost every other country there in the EU. Now, in particular, the story I wanted to tie to that with Iceman's original comment there. And I do appreciate you saying we're the 1% here. I appreciate you saying that. But his comment was saying, nothing for us will come easy. We need to stay engaged and keep fighting. It doesn't matter who you are. We all have a role we should be playing in the struggle. Now, I didn't realize it was going to get this bad this quickly. I knew it was coming really, really hard. But this next thing here, and I'll try to pull this up on my end. Hopefully my computer doesn't blow up. But Joel Webbin actually quoted this. I'll just present it on my end. So Joel Webbin actually quoted this. And if I can grab it here. Here it is. Yeah.
Tix Bomber, you would be drinking tropical 7-Up. Dude, this is fire. I saw it for sale the other day on Walmart because we do Walmart delivery, and like, nobody got time to go shopping at Walmart, right, for groceries. Yeah. But anyways,
chat, what's gayer?
It was. It tastes like a 7-Up with lemon lime. What's it called? Starburst dropped into it. It is so good. Maybe not even lemon lime, like something. I don't know. It's good.
Yeah,
it is fire. Okay. I had to try it, and then I tasted. This is my second one. I tasted one yesterday, and I was just like, "Oh!" I had champagne, and I was drinking this, and it almost tastes like this has alcohol in it, like a champagne.
That's funny.
Fire,
I wish we could
fire.
Be easier.
Free ad for tropical 7-Up.
Yeah, free ad for blender bottle. But no, the point I was coming to is this is from Joel Webbin, and if you're not familiar with him, I would actually highly recommend everybody becoming familiar with Joel Webbin. He's one of like the leading voices for like Christian nationalism. He's
I've heard you talk about him, but I haven't actually. That comes with the Mach-E too. Y'all are killing me. I love it. I've heard you talk about Joe Webbin, but I've never actually looked into his stuff myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so he has he operates Right Response Ministries. He is kind of what's the right word? There's really kind of two major like Christian podcasts that are like being really dominant. He leads like a large wing of that too, Stone Choir and Right Response Ministries. Now, what's crazy is like Stone Choir is like it's as far right as you can probably go in that network. That's like at least well known. Joe Webbin's just slightly to the left of that, and only on a few things such as like race and otherwise. But obviously he gets called a Nazi from a lot of the views that he says. But ultimately, yeah, definitely go follow Right Response Ministries. He actually had his like partner in crime who wrote, I believe it was the Boniface Option, Andrew Isker, was on Tucker Carlson. And that's where we got that hilarious moment from Tucker because they were talking about that recent kind of woke right push. And what's hilarious is they're talking about it and Tucker's like, who's James Lindsay? And people have like been taking that and like quoting it and like attacking what's his name? James Lindsay. It's like, yeah, see, Tucker don't even know who you are, dude. Like, because James Lindsay's just this ridiculous guy. But yeah, definitely follow him. But I have it in the queue there if you wanted to put it on screen, Worrell, because this blew me away. But Joel Webbin writes,
I'll add it here. Just 1 second. I'm going to derail for just 1 second just to address chat. Caleb Holland said, and this is a good point by the Caleb Holland said, all Republicans in Wisconsin, please vote. We could lose the House if a dim judge wins. Hold the line. And then Iceman says, Marie's father, Jean Marie Le Pen, was a hero and warrior for France. He fought in Algiers. Sorry if I said that wrong. Lost his eye and survived an assassination attempt. R.I.P. John Marie. Definitely. And I want to ask you two guys, since I have you in my chat, if you wouldn't mind, please clicking the link in the description and going over to the Jar Openers podcast channel. We're broadcasting the show on both channels, and I'm trying to move the show off of America First TV probably within a month or so. And so all the chat and everything is actually going on over on the Jar Openers podcast channel. So if you guys don't mind, show us a little bit of love. I know you guys are already on my channel, so much grateful. But if you don't mind taking that extra step, and you'll find the chat over there, and you'd help us out quite a bit as well. But let's go ahead and continue. We just had to ask that. I had two guys here that were in my chat, and I'm just trying to redirect everybody that pops up over to the other one, because eventually I think we're going to shut the show down off of America First TV completely here. So,
right. Yeah, no, good looks. But basically, yeah, I mean, Joel Webben writes, if this is true, it's time for revolution. Now, this is from Radio Europe, and the tweet in question is breaking news. The British Sentencing Council has decided that starting Tuesday, white men will be sentenced to longer prison sentences than women and ethnic minorities. UK has fallen. So they're legislating into law that white men for the same crimes will be getting shorter sentences than what ethnic minorities and women will be receiving. So blatantly getting a racialized system of justice over there. So that's why Joel Webben writes, it's time for revolution. I think that's a very obvious sentiment there. And I'm just saying that, tying it to Iceman's original comment, which is, I think we're on the verge of seeing things in Europe take a different direction than just social media activism. I think when you kind of start enshrining things like this in law, and this kind of follows on the coattails of Keir Starmer adopting, there's like a new series out, it's called like Adolescence, and it's basically about how like it's just like the latest attempt to make young men just gay twinks, and like all these other kind of like propagandic kind of pushes there. I believe it has like sentiments there where it's talking about like how old was your son when he first started listening to Andrew Tate, and how long did it take to make him stop listening to Andrew Tate? Like things like that. That's like very, very propagandized. That Keir Starmer had actually said that he's going to be implementing that. The schools in the UK actually air that in their classrooms for all kids to watch, and so you have all these things happening. That it's a very clear, it's very clear what their agenda is, right? I think there's no PC space here needed, right? It's an obvious attempt to literally genocide the white peoples of Europe. We're getting ready to, we were experiencing that here in America with a wide open border, but in the UK, that's clear what's going on. They want not only, so they're moving into these steps now because they've already kind of demoralized the population. You combine with what they're doing with like food and such, the average, and even here in America, probably a little bit fatter than the Europe, but they're just making a lot of men, especially white men, just fat, demoralized, cucked, just all of these things. And so I agree with Joel Webben's sentiment there, right? If this was, can you imagine if that law passed like here in the States, like here in America, especially like even if one state decided to do it, like that is a call for revolution. Like I'm just, that's exactly what it is. There's no way you can survive in a system like that, or be, for one, just have the audacity to put up with it in the first place. There's no basis in reality for this outside of the fact that they deem that there is some kind of inherent guilt that white men are born with, thus that proceeds that they must be required to also be disciplined and punished and have consequences that is tied to their racial identity. It's the same kind of thing that, it's like the anti-racism stuff that was put out by Ibram Kendi, right? With the, it's not enough just to be not racist. You have to actively be anti-racist. And so things like that, following in that nature there, where essentially white people have this inherent kind of evilness to them. And they showcase that by showing like what they did with, slavery and stuff. And they do a poor job highlighting that too, because anyone who's looked into it very long know that it wasn't white Christians who were doing enslavement. But to me, this was just like eye-opening, and to see this on the same day as the Marine Le Pen story as well was just like, it's so over. Like there's no, if you are actively, not only for one, in the UK, you're being told like, yeah, you kind of suck and you deserve worse consequences just for the color of your skin. And then in a country like a couple miles over is saying like, actually, we don't care if like all of you people who have a Democratic vote want this person in place. We're going to carry out political lawfare as such to maintain our grip on this system here. And to me, it's like, yeah, it's expected to come to America. These people are going to still keep trying, even though Trump's in power. It's why it's meaningful what happens here down the line, in terms of the practical sense, which is why it's so easy for people. Even Donald Trump's not going to be a complete, for my sake, right, Christian nationalist. You still look at the other side of the aisle and you go, well, Kamala Harris is a literal, like, completely hand all the way up the anus puppet for the globalist like empire. It's like, well, that's clearly practically worse, and it will accelerate how bad things are in ways that we don't want them to be. My heart goes out to everybody who's in Europe and in the UK and probably surrounded by a bunch of people who are just too scared to say, hey, we don't want a bunch of Muslims taking over our country. Hey, we don't want a bunch of random third world Afrikaners, people from Ethiopia, Nigeria, Chad, Chile, like, but for whatever reason, they've kind of beat down with better effect too in Europe, all of the men's and the white men's, and specifically to a position where they just seemingly just keep taking it over and over again. So my heart goes out to them, because I don't know if that train can get stopped without doing things that you can't say on YouTube. I think it's getting to that point for them. So my heart goes out to anybody over there. And if we have any watchers or viewers from over there, I mean, my advice to you is, like, you got to start getting prepared right now. I don't think they're going to go your way. America can't take any more immigrants in. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, you're going to just have to look somewhere else. I'd love to be able to take in more white European immigrants in, but we're kind of tapped out. So my advice would be to get ready for things to change very, very, very quickly, especially if you do get the kind of weight of the Marine Le Pen party, who goes, hey, this is unfair, and you are now denying us our representation. It better follow suit. At least in my opinion, it better follow suit to how the American Revolution played out. I mean, you are not going to dictate to me without representation and then pull off this, Hollywood movie-esque a coordinated plan against our leader we put in there that we've rallied behind, just so you can keep putting in some kind of guy who's got a trans wife. Like, F that, dude. At that point, it's like, I don't care. It's like, you don't have my interests at heart. You definitely don't have my children's interests at heart. And I'm not going to live into some regime that gets on its knees and just sucks off Muslims all day. I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
And then you better be prepared for what it's going to require to overcome that.
Right. They do that. Sorry, chicken's trying to move. They do that. And at the same time, they, they basically allow their society to be converted to Sharia law by osmosis, all due to the exact same thing that they were trying to do over here, which is asylum seekers. Everybody's an asylum seeker now. Everybody's a refugee or an asylum seeker. And it's just it's crazy, because they're not fleeing a particular religion or country that they don't subscribe to. They, you know what I'm saying? They come over and they just bring that crap into the country that they're going to. And we've seen this for years. And then even when you look at like Europe as a whole, with the whole thing that they were doing, protecting where it was like the top levels, and forgive me, I'm a little foggy on this because it's been a month or so since this was in the mainstream media, but we just found out recently that they were protecting people that were abusing children, like at the highest levels. Like the highest levels were protecting themselves, you know what I mean? And so
they were burying the stories.
Yeah, burying the stories.
Said, right?
Exactly. And so we don't see the horror stories of sexual assault going on from refugees, happening from refugees that shouldn't have been there in the first place, or anything like that. They suppress, like that's the one thing that I've grown to understand about what's going on over in, these European countries, is that they suppress the news and they protect, bad people. They protect criminals, and they don't really serve their, citizens at all. And just like what Jay was saying, what TNT says is, I feel like Europe is about 10 years or so ahead of us. And so what's going on over there is a precursor to what could happen over here. We saw Biden tried to accelerate it by letting in up to 40 million illegal immigrants across the border, facilitating their immigration by giving them debit cards with, preloaded debit cards, no ID required. I mean, people could have got rich exploiting that system. I mean, it's really, really bad. And, it's just, I totally agree with JB and TNT. And if we don't see and recognize and call out the crap that's going on over there, we won't recognize and be able to see it, or we won't recognize it, see it, and therefore we won't be able to call it out over here when it does happen. So, I mean, if you're paying attention, you know, and you can tell that we're destined to be where they are just in a matter of years. And it's unfortunate because for us, well, it's unfortunate for them. Fortunately for us, we still have a brief moment, at least under Trump, where we can fight back and try to prevent these things. We can take a little bit of ground back the opposite direction. And, you know, that's why the mass deportations is a complete must. It's 100% necessary because, well, like I said, it's just an acceleration, allowing all those people in at that rate. It's closing the gap. It might not be 10 years that we're behind. We might only be 5 years. We might be, you know, 4 years Trump's presidency behind where they are over in those areas. And so I just,
right.
You gotta, I wish, like, and it's too, like what you said, it almost seems like it's a lost cause, that the laws that they've been passing, the speech laws, the whistleblower laws, the crazy things that they're, you know, throwing the good people, the innocent people in jail while allowing, you know, people that aren't even supposed to be in their country, you know, free reign. It's not good. And it's, you're too far down the rabbit hole to climb back out.
And it's all similar too. I mean, like, I think America probably got an extended deadline just based on the fact that Trump got put into office. I wouldn't expect to see anything like that radical happen in 5 years, but 10 years, surely, depending on how the presidency shapes up going forward. But at the end of the day, this is all because the God of the peoples in the mainstream level is the God of race. That's ultimately what we're seeing on, and not even just over there, but also over here. Like, you know, fear race, right? Like, fear saying literally anything about race outside of like what the correct opinion is. And that's what they've done. And that's why it's actually, it's, you know, commendable when Matt Walsh, you know, as much as I wish he would leave the Daily Wire, but when he comes out and he was saying, yeah, the conquest was good. Like, no, like, I don't feel bad that my peoples were way more advanced than every other civilization. No, I don't feel bad that they tried cultivating and building civilizations for every land that they touched because they deemed other cultures to be inferior. I mean, when you come in, you walk in on a ritual sacrifice where they rip someone's heart out and let them bleed down thousands of stairs. It's like, yeah, I'm not with that, man. Like, we're going to take that over. Same thing when it comes to Africa, right? It's like, you guys literally never even invented the wheel, but you come here in our countries, take advantage of all of our systems. I mean, you guys don't even have things like schedules, right? But that's what we see get putting these CRT documents. Like, it's racist to make a black person have to commit to a schedule. Like, get the out of here, dude. It's like, if you want to be a part of this system, this country, then you need to be a part of it and understand like what people's built it, whose ancestors bled for it and died for it and took risks for it. Not this whole like 10 lashes on my back because I had a halfway bad thought about this black guy who was wearing a burglary mask, carrying a bag of PS5s down the street. Like, I can't do it anymore. And I think
pistol out of his waistband, not holstered.
Right. To me, it's like, it's one of those things where you at a certain point, you just have to like not care. Like, just call me racist. Like, I literally don't care. No amount of calling me racist is going to make me say like, oh, I'm afraid of who I am. It's like, dude, the reason America exists is because of the people like me. The reason that we have Constitution and this revolution that occurred, you know, of like ideals and like the ability of someone to be independent and not having a king oversee them, because it's kind of like representative, all of this stuff, from like innovations of technology, the Industrial Revolution, all of these things. And what they've done is they've convinced every single ounce of a white person to sit there and go, you know what, I'm supposed to hate that because of this one instance that happened sometime ago. In this propagandized effort to make me and my children and my son's sons believe that because of the way that I was born, I have some inherent kind of evil inside of me, that I oppress other people when I'm in the room. I oppress other people just because all of these things. It's all got to go. And if you can't stand up to that, it's like, well, I mean, maybe you don't deserve your country in the first place. Maybe it deserves to be conquered. And this is the way things are. So you either got to figure it out and like not get ruled by a bunch of third world immigrants, or you just go, yeah, you can call me racist all you want. get the hell out of my country. You don't respect our rights or our rituals. And look, we have shit in the street and it smells like India. I don't want this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as.
Well, and the craziest part about it is the countries that they're leaving, if you try to go into that country in the same manner, you know, they defend their borders. So
Right.
it's only like this I don't know if it's Western civilization type of thing or what, but it's that like I don't even know how to describe it, but you have to get like to such a comfortable position to even like if your people are struggling to survive, you can't take people in. But when people are thriving, then they seem to like I don't know how to say it, but I think you guys kind of understand. It's like it's from a privileged position that we can even argue these talking points, that we can even operate like this in this manner, because they like it's that like affording human rights to people who didn't even know what a human right was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of type of thing. And so it's like, yeah, well, these people need to be in our country. You know, that's the Democrat talking points or whatever. They're not illegal and this and that. And it's like, well, they're not making things better here. And look at the countries that, you know, that are leaving, some of the stronger countries, like with their borders. Like, it's just so weird. It's only like America and some of these European countries that allow folks just to freely come in. And I think it's not even, I mean, as I say that, it's like not even really the country. It's the Democrat leadership, the people that probably serve the World Economic Forum types. You know what I mean? The New World Order types. And it's because they're not trying to lift Western civilization up. It's because they're trying to break Western civilization down to be the country that these people are coming from, essentially crabs in a pod or whatever, where they pull them, you know, one tries to get out and they pull them back down.
Yeah.
It's almost like what they're trying to do. And that's the Democrat way of things. You know, we even saw it with No Child Left Behind. It's slow everybody down to the pace of the slowest person, not everybody go and learn as much, and we'll have categories for the smartest people, like, you know, and everything like that.
Right.
It's pretty messed up. That's what that equity does. It slows the intelligent, fast-paced people down to the slow pace. Like we were mentioning, some of these countries don't even have schedules. I used to, I went to the Bahamas a couple times, Freeport, Bahamas specifically. I don't know if the other islands are the same, but I remember one time we were like on a tour bus, and the dude was like, he was a local, and he's like, what we don't get done today, we might get done tomorrow or the next day. It's like, just no like motivation, incentivization, is that a word? No incentive to do better and accelerate and get ahead. It's just like, we'll live tomorrow or the next day. And that's not what we're trying to build within this country. You know what I mean? We got dudes that are like Elon Musk that are trying to send people to Mars, right? And it's only from that like that privileged position where we even get to the point where we somehow forget what it was that got us to that position in the first place, and then we start allowing the riffraff, the unfortunate whatever people from other countries into the country freely, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, even if it wasn't, like, say it was like, yeah, say these people didn't smell like, you know, dog crap, and they, you know, they actually, like, you know, might have even a slight bit of shared culture. It's still as simple as the fact of like, for one, like, I'm allowed to want a country for my own peoples. Like, I literally don't need to give you another reason. Like, to say like we have to kind of like, you know, well, maybe we need to negotiate with Africa, and like, you know, should we be allowed to have a country for ourselves and our peoples? It's like, yeah, of course we're supposed to. And like, I think the idea of the melting pot is so ignorant. I mean, you look at that, you just look at how we've had it, and it's just like, it's not been that, man. It's never been that. I mean, we still can't even integrate with blacks on levels that have been here since they were brought over. I mean, we go to certain cities. You have the west side and the east side. Who's on the west side? Whites. Who's on the east side? Blacks. It doesn't. There is a specific integration, the way that God had made us, that He said, like, this is the way that humans are made to be. And we keep trying to defy that and act as if there wasn't a reason that God had made us all these different variations of what we are as humans. And so this constant kind of trying to fight to that. This is why I always kind of pointed out to like the Babel agenda, right? When humans were trying to all speak one language, they were trying to build a tower to the god. They wanted to unify and just mix everything together, all their cultures, and abandon themselves to become this one great race building this tower up to God. And then God sees it, he strikes it down, and He's made everybody speak different languages. He was like, this is not what I intended for you guys to do. Spread you all across the earth. And so then you look at that and you see what they're doing over and over and over again. It's to pull this idea over everyone's eyes that like that I'm just as interchangeable as a black guy. Then like that's just not the truth. I mean, there are genetic and biological differences in the groups. Now, to say, does that make one person better than the other? There's different avenues and different contexts, so you can argue that, versus like in different jobs or maybe in different industries or different kind of schools of thought, possibly. But the idea that someone's owed an entrance into America just because like we had immigrants here previously is like, I mean, for one, I think it's just retarded reasoning too. And secondly, the most of our immigration came from Europe. It came from white European cultures. Like we do have a heritage, we do have an identity. And when we constantly hear from people like Vivek, who I think is a snake oil salesman, who I wish would just never come in politics, and now he's threatening a run in my own home state. He keeps reducing the idea of America down as if it is just simply an idea. It is simply just a group of ideas all kind of outlined in this very neat way, and that's how America is the way it is. And it's like, no, it's not. I mean, if it was an idea, where's America anywhere else in the globe? It doesn't.
Right. Well,
exist.
that's what happened during the Revolutionary War. Was people decided they wanted to separate from the crown. The crown said, "No, you're going to stay under." I thought I just watched The Patriot the other day. I hadn't seen it in years, and
Good movie.
yeah, and it's like it's what we're seeing in the chat. We basically defeated the strongest crown in history. A bunch of riffraff that came over here that banded together and it built the greatest empire on planet Earth in Earth's known history. You know what I mean? Well, known history. I say that, because we see what's going on with the pyramids and everything like that. It kind of suggests that there might have been an advanced civilization thousands of years ago. Who knows? But
right.
But for now, for what we know, turned into the greatest civilization in planet Earth's history. And then
right.
What we see here, let's see here. Where was it at? Oh, I can't find it in chat. Somebody had a good point there. There's a bunch of good points, but one triggered.
You had a good point in chat. That'd be a first.
But it's a reminder too that we shouldn't be adopting what Europe is trying to do or doing. We separated ourselves from Europe. They were America's first arch enemy, right? And so I don't know how that would change just because they lost and we became powerful. Now they want to be our friends, or do they want us just to be essentially back under their thumb one way or another? And I keep that in mind whenever I think about some of these, treaties and NATO and stuff like that. And it's like, really, is it, are they just trying to take advantage of us? Are we just basically paying for them like we did beforehand, but now it's just through NATO and everything, and they're really still our rulers, or they really still want us to be their rulers? Or they want to be our rulers. It's just one of those things where I don't trust Europe the way that a lot of people do. And I always got to remind myself, and I'll remind you guys, like I said, that they were America's first arch enemy. We had to fight a crazy war on our own homeland. It's the only war that we fought on our own homeland against a foreign country, and we shouldn't be so quick to befriend them. And if we are in the game of befriending our enemies, maybe we should be talking about an alliance with Russia. Maybe we should be talking about alliances with China and trade deals and stuff like that. A lot of what Trump is actually suggesting.
Right.
But I don't know. I just meanwhile, let's see here. We were born from fuck you. Yeah, I like this one. We were born from fuck you. You ain't compelling us with your BS, and bounced the F out of Europe to then considered shithole America. To then considered shithole America. Sorry, I couldn't read that for some reason. My eyes are like not tracking the way they should.
Your eyes are red. You said
they're not tracking. Not today. Not today. Not today. Yeah. Exactly. Meanwhile, effed over Russia. USAID is giving Europe money. Yeah, exactly. Are we disrespecting our revolutionary patriots? That's what I'm talking about. Exactly, JB. If USAID is giving Europe money, are we disrespecting our revolutionary patriots? 100%.
Bro.
Especially if they saw the numbers.
Dude, our founding fathers would be considered domestic terrorists. If you brought them back like today with a few horses and their families, and it was like, okay, now you have to live in America of 2025, they would ultimately probably all end up thrown in prison because they would just start absolutely annihilating people off the face of this earth. What we have made America in its current form is such a spit in the face of every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears that they put in and died for, and had their families turned over and betray them for, and all the losses. Yeah, I mean, like, we're entirely spitting in their mouths over this. In no way, shape, or form did they expect some kind of, overtly castrated form of their country turn into some kind of global, global facilitator of justice and export homosexuality. I mean, they would literally, I mean, I don't even know. They may just burn it down. They may flee and make a colony somewhere else at that point. It's hard to tell. But that's always kind of why I bring that up too. A lot of people are very, they look very fondly over the founding fathers. And ultimately they did what they did over a repeated demonstration of, taxation without representation. But really at the end of the day, it was a building kind of force of taking advantage of people's in their own land over things when they had very little ability to control what was going on. We're seeing that happen now. I mean, people are already kind of losing their ability to trust in the voting system as it is, especially after 2020. That was very, very rampant too. So on one hand, if you see how the founding fathers did that for our homeland here over a 3% tax over tea, there with the Boston Harbor. Well, then if you see somebody do a revolutionary act today, it's like, well, you can't even blame them. I mean, it might not have been as organized, might not have been as divinely brought out, but ultimately that spirit was still there. They see a country where they have very little ability to demonstrate or vocalize themselves, a country rampant with degeneracy. And so just like it's a rough spot because, I think a lot of founding fathers would probably end up taking out people's favorite influencers too. You might think that person's super base, but ultimately at the end of the day, I'm still of the position that the true right wing doesn't actually really exist, at least not on the internet. I think a lot of them have been banished into spheres who would never see them again. And that's why you see like a very kind of hesitancy to even say a lot of these things.
And the remnants that we see are people that copy and paste for clicks on X. They're not even really like trying to be news. They're trying to just make money off of X or make money off social media. And it's not as based as, people will read their stuff and go, oh, based. But I don't think these people are in it. Some of them might be, you know what I mean? I don't know their heart, but I think some of these folks are just in it for the clicks. They're in it for the ad revenue or the ad revenue on X or whatever it is. And, or other social media places. And, it's one of those things where it's like, you'll never catch me copying and pasting anything like, and that's what the game has kind of become on X is be the first to respond to something, be the first to retype the other person, copy paste and post like it's your own original thing. Every day I see the same thing posted, like even with this one, we'll talk about this Hitler thing for a second. I saw multiple people word for word just copy paste and post it like it's their own original post rather than just quote tweeting. And
just repackage it or crop it when there's like a watermark or something too.
Yeah. And people don't even watermark it. You know what I mean? They're just basically just whatever it's called. Fair use, man. Yeah, free and fair use and just copy paste. And That's it. Download the video and re-upload it like it's yours. But we got this right here, which is interesting because they're claiming, these people right here are claiming that it's not a conspiracy anymore, that Hitler fled to Argentina. Okay, so there's this show called Chasing Hitler or something like that. I think it was what's his name, the Marine guy, Tim. God, I see his face. I can't think of his name. I think it's Tim something. Anyways, he did this whole, chasing Hitler, finding Hitler. They did a couple seasons of it, and it was really interesting because it was Evil Elmo, copy paste, ride the algorithm on YouTube. It's mostly on X too. That's where people are getting the news, right? So was it Tim Miller? No, not Tim Miller. Tim Miller's that stupid Democrat. I can't think of his name now.
Yeah,
I wish I could.
That's who I thought of when you first said that too. So I was like, that weird.
No, it's a big
big
Marine guy. Big Marine guy. He was like special forces, actually. I call him a Marine, but he was a special forces dude. He was just on Sean Ryan's show a while back too. Anyways,
interesting.
He did this whole chasing Hitler thing, and they were basically saying that he didn't really take his own life at the end of World War II. He defected to Argentina. Well, now they're claiming that not they're claiming, but the president has basically, I kind of see it like a JFK files dump or, 9/11 files dump or whatever. And they're claiming that, yeah, it's true. Hitler actually didn't die in Germany, and he lived years and had kids in Argentina afterwards.
Yeah, well, there was somebody who actually, I believe they were on Joe Rogan almost like a year or two ago, that had a kind of a clipping. It was like one document from what I think this was all attached to there in Argentina that had been declassified, but by Javier Milei, that it actually was like a correspondent notice where it was like it was an Argentinian government official writing back to, I believe, somebody back in Germany, confirming that the man has arrived. And it detailed things such as like he had like, there's like 20 or 19 other people that had been with him. Some of his family made it out as well, and a couple the other officials made it with him.
Some of his top dudes,
some of his top guys. And so, but it was like a confirmation from like an official, and I can't remember. It was somebody who was on Joe Rogan like almost maybe even like 2 or 3 years ago now at this point. So there was like already things that kind of corroborated this idea that like he actually like nothing had happened to him, right? Or that he ultimately like that he didn't take his own life, which is kind of what's been publicized as like the actual happening of what occurred there.
Right. Well, this is a 2-minute little clip. I'm going to play this and we'll hear a little bit more about it. But yeah, I think he had $2 there as the claim there, Evil Elmo. But yeah, it's what you said. It was classified. Or here, breaking Argentinian President Javier Milei has declassified documents confirming that Adolf survived World War II, escaped to Argentina with the aid and assistance of the U.S. and its allies, lived for another 20 years, and fathered 2 daughters. So I don't know about the aided by U.S. and everything else, but I wouldn't be surprised, right?
Right. That's why I think that the guy was on Joe Rogan, was because that was a portion from a CIA operative who had that little clipping there that was like the confirming of the letter between the communications between the guy from Argentina and the guy in Germany, which is just a crazy prospect to think that the U.S. had its hand involved everywhere. I mean, if anyone's even halfway familiar with Operation Paperclip, like we were all about exploiting everything about this conflict that occurred.
Right. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the guy's name. It was called Hunting Hitler was the show. Tim Kennedy. Okay. I was bothering me. The guy's name's Tim Kennedy.
Tim Kennedy. I've heard of that before. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got some cool he's got some crazy stories from being special forces that been on other stuff. But yeah, let's play this real quick. Why are they sitting so far apart? It weirds me out.
People know this story and who have studied the subject know that Adolf Hitler didn't kill himself in a bunker in Berlin as the Red Army closed in. I think that's, we all know that was a fabricated story, or if you watch the show, you probably understand that. Hitler actually fled Germany weeks before that using a group of underground tunnels that led to an airstrip. And that airstrip was flown. He was flown from Berlin out. It took submarines, or multiple submarines that were used, U-boats that were then sent to Argentina. In other words, Hitler lived for nearly 2 decades more in Argentina, along with vast numbers of the Third Reich. Well, now Argentinian President Javier Milei has just ordered the release of all remaining documents on all of those Nazis who fled Germany and moved to Argentina after World War II. Basically, it was almost like a second base of operations in Argentina. If you're not familiar with that, like basically the Third Reich operated out of Argentina and Germany. And many of them, including Adolf Hitler, lived in Argentina well after 1945. Most people know that Hitler lived out his days in Bariloche, Argentina, until he died there in the mid-1960s. Yes, you can read the CIA documents about this. The FBI documents also about sightings of Hitler in this area. They knew about it. Of course they knew about it. It was largely facilitated, I think it's safe to say, by the United States and its allies. Operation Paperclip, anybody? Quid pro quo?
Also, if you look into this, the skull that is held in Russia that was supposedly the remains of Adolf Hitler with a bullet wound in it is female.
Yeah.
So when you look for proof that Hitler did in fact kill himself in the bunker, you are going to find a lot of dead ends.
Yeah. And all you need to read, you can read a great book on this called The Gray Wolf. It's a great book. There's many books written about this now. But yeah, the skull, the fragments, they ran the DNA test on it. And the Soviets allowed them to do this testing. And even Stalin openly talked about that Hitler lived, that he was not there. So Stalin even knew about it. It's widely known in Argentina, by the way, well known, that Hitler sired 2 children while he lived in Argentina.
So yeah, that's pretty wild. And that town that they mentioned, Bariloche, is like a straight up German town in Argentina. They speak German, and Tim Kennedy actually in his production team broke in, got inside of the town because it's like heavily guarded and stuff like that. And there's like older parts of it that are even like fenced in, and like nobody goes there without permission type scenarios. Real sketchy, you know what I mean? Just
still to this day too.
Right. But he broke in and they went through some stuff, and we were trying to look through it and everything. It's all on that show. It's actually pretty interesting. I really enjoyed that one because they get in detail about how there was scratcher. There's a runway, like a half underground like runway that escaped from where Hitler was like held up, and they didn't like disclose it on any of the maps originally and stuff like that. And so now that I think they're actually confirming with this, I thought I saw additionally that was how they got him out of there. And when you
and it had access to like the submarines and stuff, which is what they transitioned to take to Argentina.
Subterranean tunnels that he was able to travel in and stuff like that. And when you talk about Operation Paperclip, when you add that to it, it's like almost like a trade. It's like, all right, we'll smuggle you out of the country. We're going to wrap up the war. You're going to survive. You're on you aren't long for this world at the pace that you're at. So here's the deal. You give us your scientists, because, you know, they were researching some pretty wild stuff. Look at the bell that they were researching. Supposedly they were working on this bell that could, it was like, it could hover. It was shaped like a bell. It didn't operate like a bell. And lots of, almost
with like gravity propulsion and like
like
that.
Exactly. Lots of science fiction type of research. And we know that Operation Paperclip, when those guys came over here to the United States, I think those are the scientists. NASA. Yeah, they built NASA. I think they were the ones that actually ended up building the atomic bomb. That came a little bit later. Maybe I'm wrong about that part. But then, like, the main one, what was his name?
The Manhattan Project. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the main one, what was his name? He ended up like a lot of them ended up retiring in Antarctica. Like when they retired, that's where they went. And so like the whole thing with Operation Paperclip is just so weird when you're talking about like the supernatural and, maybe aliens or dimensional travel research or whatever. It was a time traveling device. The bell was a time traveling device, or what they think it is. Lots of just crazy stuff. And so if those scientists were some, savants that were working on advanced stuff and had some access to maybe a crashed UFO that gave them insight into, the next level of technology, which you'd think he would have built better tanks than the ones they had if that was the case. But apparently, I think their tanks ended up being real rough. If I remember correctly, they had like no suspension, and they ended up being real easy to knock their tracks off. And once we discovered that, it was their tanks didn't go very far. But yeah, pretty crazy scenario, you know. And this might just be one of many that we see come out here with, like I likened it to the JFK files being declassified, or, you know, an Epstein list, or you know, whatever. And it's like, it's cool because this Milei dude, the Javier Milei, the Argentinian president, he's the one that went in when he was elected, and he had like the whiteboard, and he was just like, this agency gone, this agency gone, this agency gone. And he was super like Trumpish, you know, like what we kind of hope Trump would be, as far as like president and being and how he operated and stuff like that. Not a part of the big group.
Right.
Actually the opposite. And so I don't know. I think it's just pretty cool. I'm looking for, afuera. That's right. Afuera. You gotta the R. Afuera. Anyways. But yeah, it's just fun. It's fun. I like seeing this type of stuff. And, you know, well, should we get into anything else? It's already after 9. What do you think?
Oh yeah. The one final thing, you won't go to anything too crazy. Have you listened to this AI song about the comments on the Snow White trailer?
No, I haven't.
It'd be a great way to end it because it's hilarious, dude.
Okay. Tix Bomber did say, I thought Milei was just in some hot water because he stole everyone's money. Well, I mean, the way the deep state, or whoever you want to call it, attacks Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if that was an accusation lobbed his way, because we see how they went after Le Pen, they went after Trump, Milei, maybe that as well. But yeah, do we have that? Let's see.
Yeah, it's under the Snow White.
Amazing
Snow White
AI
song.
song. Okay.
Yeah.
Will it open up, or will it just play right here? Okay. How do
I think you could click on that little watch on YouTube button in that like bottom left corner.
Should take you to YouTube. It says sign in, confirm you're not a bot. I can't get it to. Oh wait. Funniest. I just clicked randomly. Funniest Snow White. It's got 2.7 million views.
It is hilarious.
I think this is it.
But yeah, I didn't look into too much about the Milei crypto scam thing. I did see some people I trust take it with a grain of salt, though. Seemed like he was involved in some kind of government orchestrated like crypto scheme that I think it was like it lost like 78% of its value or something like that, and so people were like really pissed at him. I didn't go too far deep into it though.
Gotcha. As this one, okay. For some reason, it gave me part 2 where I clicked. All right, this is it. Hopefully, we're not going to get copyright, but it's all right.
Shouldn't. It's an AI song.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and play this, and then we'll play this. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, volume warning for everybody. We're about to play a song. I'm not sure how loud it might sound coming across everybody's speakers.
I got it cranked up too, so
let's do it.
Not bad.
If I saw this movie on a plane, I would still walk out. This trailer makes me want to sit on the TV and look at my couch. I paid nothing to watch this trailer, but I already want my money back. Coming to a theater near you, me, is that a threat? They should have made Rachel CGI instead. Ron Brown and the 7 Discord mods. The CGI looks much better when I turn my monitor off. Disney invites you and I must politely decline. I'm rooting for the poison apple. Wise Lord Farquaad playing Snow White. This movie should come with a disclaimer. No dwarfs were harmed, but your childhood might be. I haven't seen something self-implode this hard since that Titan submarine. Mirror, mirror on the wall, as a German I claim culture cultural appropriation. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Snow White and the 7 CGI abomination. Making the dwarfs look like a PS1 hack reap was a bold choice. Rachel Zegler looks like a medieval squire boy. Marvel's lost $237 million. Snow White, hold my beer. Disney used to make people famous. Now it ends acting careers. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Why the seats are empty in Cinema Hall. Mirror, mirror on the wall. What's the biggest Disney flop of all?
I thought that was pretty funny.
I think the wise Lord Farquaad replaced her with Lord Farquaad. I think that was the funniest part for me.
Yeah, they've been people have been making a lot more of these songs like with comments and stuff, and it's pretty easy to get AI to like make it a melody. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that is.
I've probably seen that like 5 times now.
I saw there was a part 2 as well, but we'll spare you guys that one. But I wanted to end this on a bright note. Stop, please. Sorry, I yelled on the mic. Stop. You're being very needy. I love you, but you're being very needy, Parker. Can you see this? You guys see this? This is what I got to deal with when I'm trying to work. Just trying to pull out my mic and everything, my headset. Okay. Lord Farquaad memes kill you.
Yeah, but they're spot on though. She looks like Farquaad, man.
I know. I got this put up here. I'm gonna drag it over.
Right.
One leg is starting to work again, so I think she's on the mend. By the way, you guys don't know that's my injured chicken flopping around behind me. But here's the Lord Farquaad one that made me laugh. It's like I can't make it any bigger when I try to click on this. Oh wait, maybe I can. No, it just when I click on it, it takes you to like Wikipedia or something like that.
Oh yeah, if you right click it and open image in new tab and then try zooming in.
Open link in new tab. Open image in new tab.
Yep.
Okay.
You might be able to zoom in on that one.
It's got like the same like shoulder ruffle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where's the other one? Here it is. It's got like the same.
Just in blue.
That was really funny. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, people have been pushing back against it, man. It's this constant kind of androgenization that's happening to like all women when it comes to all of these different like Hollywood movie lines, not even just Disney as well. You saw that with The Last of Us girl when they casted, I don't even know what that girl's name is, but she looks nothing like Ellie from the books. At best she looks like she just passed like not having to ride the short bus. I can't remember what her name is.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
And like there was a viral post for somebody who's just very simply, I have no idea who it was, but they just simply said, I'd rather be dead than look like this. And all these women are like coming out and like being super upset about it and stuff. And so it's just like, this is a war that like men have been fighting mainly since like Gamergate, you know, early, like when that'd be like what, like 2012. Am I right about that? Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I can't remember when The Last of Us had came out. But that's basically what kicked it off. And it's like, we're like, you know, in year 14, they're still doing it. They're making actors like Rachel Zegler be like the main character. It's supposed to be like this super, right? It's supposed to be like super beautiful females. And people were pointing out, it's like, dude, like the point of the story is like the witch is jealous of like Snow White's looks, but then they casted Gal Gadot as like the witch, and it's like, dude, the witch already looks better than Snow White.
The witch is finer than Snow White. What are we talking about here?
Right. So they keep putting these actors, these female actors whose eyes are like literally on the sides of their head. They look like hammerhead sharks.
Yeah, that's what they did with the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, the Little Mermaid was awful because it had that, the movie trailer scene was like her looking up, and it's like, dude, you look hideous right now. And they don't like hearing that. And it's the same thing with Zendaya, right? They're like, they're pushing Zendaya as hard as they possibly could because they're like, she's the hottest girl of all time. And for what reason, right? It's like all men can see us. It's like, this is like, like we're getting to the point where like I could walk outside and go to the gas station at 2 a.m. and there'd probably be a more attractive female in the line buying a honey bun. It's like, that's the point where we're getting to. And people are just like, it's just a long battle, and it looks like we're seemingly winning with this recent kind of flopping of Rachel Ziegler, although she opened her mouth a good bit too. So it's more than just the way she looks; it's also the things that she said that caused the movie to flop.
Right. Exactly. But this one here, we'll just wrap up with this one. Disney finally debuts character that conservatives will love in a show that acts trans child storyline. So they went the opposite direction, and we're not going to read the whole thing, but let's see here. Disney has debuted a new character for its series that suddenly dropped a storyline surrounding transgender children late last year. The new show, Pixar's Win or Lose, introduced its main character, Lori, by showing her bow her head and in prayer, asking God to give her strength at an important time. The middle school softball player's prayer is unmistakably Christian.
I get one point there. Capitalize God, dude. They knew what they were doing. Daily Mail knew exactly what they were doing there.
Right.
Lowercase G, so disrespectful.
I didn't even notice that. Where'd you see it?
It's where it says unmistakably Christian at the beginning of that sentence. Asking God.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, you're right about that. That's pretty messed up. I mean, even autocorrect knows to capitalize that. But this is a first for Disney in nearly 30 years. So Disney snapped up Pixar a decade later. Okay, let's see here. The scene originally brought by Brass was pulled just for the election. Okay, yeah, they're talking about the thing that they pulled for the trans part. But let's see here, right here. Source close to the. I scanned this earlier. There was a couple lines I wanted to make sure I read. You showed Stewart's character animated sketch. Where did it go? Maybe it was on this section. She prays, "Dear Heavenly Father, give me strength." She says at one point in one of the show's first scenes, "I just want to catch a ball or get a hit. I promise I'll be good, and I won't do that thing again," she adds before praying in another scene to ask a higher power help her be good. "I'm going to train so hard," Lori, the daughter of the character coach, says in a clip. They pulled the other scene. Meanwhile, it was like when it came to the explanation, the Disney brass conceded it had been over fears it was unsuitable for children after the decision came to light via the Hollywood Reporter's report. So that was after they pulled the scene of the trans character. And they said, quote, "When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline," Disney said in a statement to the reporter. Stewart at the time told Deadline she was very disheartened by Disney's decision, saying, "From the moment I got the script, I was excited to share my journey with empower trans youth." So it's going back and forth rather than just focusing on the Christian story arc. It's this person that really wanted to inject this trans crap into it. But it sounds like Disney might be moving away from the woke lose money story arc. I mean, I say that as they release Snow White, but I feel like they basically, when it comes to Snow White, they went ahead and released it because they had spent so much money on it. They're like, we're just going to recoup whatever we can out of this fucking mess. Right. We don't expect anything good to come from it. Nobody likes the main character. And so you never know. And this is a series. So it's more than just a one-off. And I hope it does really good. I hope the response from people, from parents is, this is the Disney that we're trying to watch. And I don't know what the rest of it's about. Okay. I know the main character is a little girl, I believe. And there might still be some woke elements to it, but this is a step that a direction that they haven't gone in 30 years. And I feel like there's a message that could be sent and received by people saying, "I love this character. I love this part of it," and it getting good reviews and actually making some money potentially. You know what I mean? And then if that's the case, it would be nice to see Disney go, all right, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this again. And because that's what you do, you know, you ride with a hot hand. I mean, that's what I do when I make my videos on a daily basis. If I make a video based on 2 people and the video goes nuts with views, all right, that's the lane I need to be in. I'm making more videos about these 2 people or one of these 2 people or whatever. And, you know, hopefully Disney will catch on if, you know, and might be able to become a fan of Disney again. Maybe. Here's holding out hope. I got all those movies still. I got all the DVDs. I literally got hundreds, like every movie they made up until like 2014 or something. We bought like this big giant collection, and my wife was like a huge Mickey Mouse fan. But now neither of us can even stand Disney. Even when we go to Orlando, we go to Universal Studios,
Right.
which they just built that Nintendo Land or whatever it's called. I can't think of what it's like, Nintendo World or whatever. And we're gonna go check that out, I think in November this year or something like that. But really looking forward to checking it. I wish I could ride rides though. Anything that goes backwards or spins, I'm trying not to get sick. So it sucks.
Same.
You know, I need to train myself to not get motion sickness. I don't know how you do that, but ride passenger and let your wife drive. That'll do it. No.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Face backwards while your wife drives everywhere you go, and that'll get you used to it. No, I really don't know.
Well, I think it's ultimately though still kind of sad to view it from the fact that they're like, well, looks like Trump won. So why don't we just go ahead and cut the whole trans portion and just replace it with a Christian?
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I think at the end of the day, this isn't like don't take it as like a moral statement of like Disney all of a sudden woke up and they're like, you know what, we do need to start honoring Christians. I think it's more so like, well, what's going to make us more money? Let's go ahead and appease the Christians. I think they'll probably come see our movies if we put the Christian stuff in here.
Well, I hope it works.
A statement about like how they, you know, value things.
Right. I hope it works. And they're just, even if it's not one of their values, they're just chasing the money, and the money is in the Christian movies, the Christian based, or including a Christian rather than a trans agenda. You know what I mean? Rather than an LGBTQ agenda. I don't remember what movie it was a few years ago that came out, but one of my buddies took his 2 young boys to go watch it. They're both under 10. And he was like, now my son's going around saying that he's gay because he doesn't understand what gay even is. And it just opens up the conversation and the dialogue to destroying these children's innocence. And that's something that Disney should not be doing, right? To their statement there, that there's certain things that we think parents would rather have the conversation of, you know, in rather than us injecting it into their kids, you know, through movies. And I agree with that. And I hope that I hope the response is good with this one. Sorry, my dog has started chewing on a rawhide, if you guys can hear that. Yeah, you guys can definitely hear that. But
just a little bit.
She's a good girl, so she deserves it. But you know, if you guys get what I'm saying, right? Hopefully they see this is good and they do more of it. And that's a part of that culture shift that we've been talking about with Christian nationalism and, you know, Andrew Wilson, what he mentions and stuff. We need it to be cool, right? We want Christianity to be cool. We want it to be the norm. We want people who step out of this realm to be shamed, to feel shame, to, you know, get back to, you know, we're not trying to make people be Christians. We're not trying to make people be good. We just want culture to embrace the goodness of it, essentially.
Right. But
I just I basically just wanted to end it on that. I threw that in there. I know you hadn't really seen much of this, but I thought this was kind of an interesting article. And like you said, they're not really changing their principles, I don't think. I mean, unless they went and fired that lady that said that she was just trying to inject everything gay that she could into the story. But, you know, I haven't seen anything based on, you know, baseball or softball, series wise or movie wise for a long time. So there's definitely a need for that. I love baseball. It's baseball season. Like I said, even though this is a softball thing, but still, maybe they got this one right, and hopefully they did for the kids that are going to be watching it. Well, for once, we're not talking about woke again, white replacement again, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Moving on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with that, I appreciate everybody for being here. Make sure you guys do click the link down in the description. Join the Discord. If you're on America First TV, please also click the link in the description to the Jar Openers podcast channel. That's where we're moving the live show over to eventually. So if you like the show, you like to support us, go over there, hit the subscribe button, and then watch us on that channel next time. And I appreciate everybody that's already made the transition. Y'all are great. And I haven't been looking at chat here. I see Atlas smiling, so I'm probably missing something funny.
Yeah, from Tix. This world gets shoved up from Adam Arroyo's shorts. I
don't know who Adam Arroyo is. But I do. But I totally do. I don't know.
And then somebody said, Jay said, just like Tyler is good at hiding it.
It's like, wow, you're revealing a lot of stuff. We're gonna need to see your wife on the next show, and you're gonna need verification of certain things. I don't see a wedding ring on your hand. That's because I'm getting fat. It doesn't come off, and it scares me. It makes me all claustrophobic or something whenever I can't get it off. So I have one.
That's funny.
Oh, he posts the best baseball shorts on YouTube. Okay. I've been watching these dude called the Baseball Bat Bros on YouTube, and these dudes, their brothers, one's left-handed, one's right-handed, and the right-handed dude, well, they actually both are really good, but they hit bombs, and they go and they test all the baseball bats that we used back when we were kids and compare them to bats today and stuff, and just hit total. Like, they had a home run derby contest against what was his name? I can't think of the name right now. Matt something. He was a pro ball player. He was a home run hitting fool, and of course he won the home run derby against these guys. But they were still just hitting massive shots. It's I don't know. For some reason, I love that stuff, man. It's cool watching them comparing the different bats, and they got the little tracker out there, tells you how hard the ball goes off the bat. Sometimes they get them up to 110 miles per hour off the bat, 114. It's just like, oh, wish I was young again. Go play me some ball, man. That was the good old days.
Right.
But
yeah.
Tix Bomber said, yeah, I like those dudes. They popped up in my feed one rando day. Yeah, me too. I think I saw a short, and then I was like, oh, I want to check out their actual channel, and then went from there. One of the rare instances where a shorts viewer actually goes over to long form. For some reason, they don't mingle for the most part. They're scientific, but also not boring.
That's good.
Evil Elmo said, I worry when the man's favorite food is corn on the cob.
Yep. Yep. Balls and bats, man.
Long balls. Yeah, I haven't even got into the long balls jokes. All my friends know the long balls jokes, though. So maybe one of these days, when I'm comfortable enough to talk to you guys about that stuff. No.
Yeah. Feeling a little vulnerable right now.
I'm going to go and cuddle with my wife and get some of my masculinity back. So I will be the big spoon, by the way. Not the little spoon. I'm going to
ask my wife if I can have it back.
Ask her if I could be the big spoon this time and take a selfie and post it in the Discord so you guys know the truth.
Yeah, right.
I love this chat. Happen. You guys are great. I appreciate you guys for being here so much. You guys make these shows you make them entertaining for me. I'm trying to be entertaining for you, and you guys make them entertaining for me. So just to get the gay off. That's right, Jay. What's his name? Oh, y'all are killing me.
That's funny.
All right. Well, with that, I'll just say we'll see you guys on Wednesday, same time, same place. Make sure you share the show with all your friends. And of course, I know everybody's already hit the like button. So anyways, with that, Christ is King. And you got anything else to add before we go?
Ban women, deport Kash Patel. Share this with somebody who you think would actually piss off. Like, it would make him angry. Share that to them. Let them know what time we'll go live. The chat's always open. Always would love to get into an argument with somebody who is deranged. That's basically it. Yeah, Christ is king. Pray for World to get his testosterone back from his wife.
I'm gonna call a doctor and go see my testosterone levels. I'm over 40. It's gotta be lower.
See, Doc, she's got 2 hands on my nuts. How can I get it down to 1 hand? She's got me by the balls.
Oh, that's some good. That's some good stuff.
Awesome.
Love you guys. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
With war rolling Atlas Thug, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass, Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.